Region Sports Network, and this is another episode of the 100-Yard Walk, where we progress down the field and we just ask any football personalities a couple questions. Coach, I'm here with Coach Nick Testa at Wheeler High School. Coach, how are we doing today?
Good. Yeah, thanks for coming out and checking things out, and glad to have you guys here.
Of course. So we were talking a little bit before this, but we're already kind of a little bit in the off season. We're going to kind of highlight what we're doing now. Talk to me. You guys just had a little bit of spring install, a little bit of workout. Talk to me about where this team is at in the off season progress.
Yeah, we're in a good spot right now. A lot of our, being a small school, a lot of our kids are in other sports. So we've got a bunch of kids in track, a bunch of kids in baseball. So our kids are always doing something, but it's a good opportunity to get the young guys out here and kind of give them an introduction to our schemes and how we do things. So it's good. We're getting a good turnout for early on.
And then for your second season now going to be your second season here at Wheeler. That first season, again, 6-4. We're going to highlight that a little bit. Talk to me about how that first season was here at Wheeler and kind of how is it different for you as a coach going into your second season, if it is at all?
I don't really think there's going to be much of a difference. We'll have more of a target on our back, having won our conference. It really started with the kids. The kids wanted to change. They wanted to build a winning program, and we came in, and that was our goal from the get-go. It wasn't to try and rebuild the system. It was to come in and win football games right away.
Right.
So that was our goal. That will be our goal again this year. We don't want to just compete. We want to play for championships, whether that's conference, sectional, semi-state, regional. Those are our goals, and that'll continue to be them.
For sure. Kind of looking a little bit towards last season, it was a difficult start. Again, going to Hanover and playing KV, then lost a tough one at River Forest. You guys are 0-3. That's not an ideal start to the year. And then you guys string out 6 straight games. Walk me through that journey. Talk to me about where this team was at at 0-3, and then what switched to kind of turn the notch and obviously win your first outright conference title in 9 years.
9 years, I believe. Again, yeah, I think it starts with the kids. They bought into what we were teaching. They wanted to win, even when it got tough. And Hanover's been one of the best programs in the area for a while now. Coach Kennedy's done a great job at KV, and you saw that towards the end of the season. They were one of the hotter teams going into sectionals. And then Coach Hidalgo does a great job at River. So it's, those are 3 tough teams to start with when you're trying to put a new system in and build the confidence that these kids had lost the previous years. So we just stayed the course. We continued to give them the same message that you come, you show up, you work hard, and you have to have that confidence that you are able to play with those teams and you're able to beat anybody. And they kept putting the work in, and we were able to kind of get on a roll. And confidence is such a crazy thing in sports. We got that first one, and then it started to roll a little bit, and they just never stopped believing, and it ended up pretty good for us.
I definitely want to touch back on the confidence side, but I always like to stop at the 50. The one thing that'll never change about a football team is their logo usually, and their colors, and it's always fun to kind of stop here at the 50 and recollect. We were talking before this, a lot of money and a lot of trust is going into the athletic programs here. Talk to me about, again, kind of highlighting it. This was the first season on this turf field. We got some more coming in, softball fields and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
What is that like as a coach to kind of realize, okay, this is a community that trusts what we're doing and they're buying into the bigger picture?
Yeah, they want to win. Again, it's not just about being competitive. They want to win, and they're investing in all the athletic programs. Like we were talking about, there's going to be a turf baseball field, turf softball field, turf auxiliary field. They're going to put a nice new entrance into this field. Like you said, this is 1 year old. We got on it the Thursday before our first game. It just shows that they're taking athletics seriously, and I couldn't be prouder and more appreciative of everything they've done for me and for all the athletics.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. We talked about confidence just before we hit the 50-yard line. What are you seeing in these kids now? You said there was really no difference on your end as a coach, but now the kids, again, a solid season under their belt. They're starting to buy in as well, obviously. What are we kind of seeing from these kids now? They have that kind of swagger and confidence. That's obviously so important in sports.
And that's it. It's having that swagger. It's no longer can we compete or we hope to compete. It's we're going to compete. And Yeah, we have a target on our back, and you can either do one of two things. You can kind of hide from that and pretend it's not there, or you can meet it head on. And that's our message to our kids: is that teams want to take us down now. We're here. We're not running. We'll be here. We're going to put up a fight every week, and that confidence, that swagger is going to go a long way.
Love it, love it. You got some dudes coming back. One name I saw who was on our first team all area was Bryce Compton. You're a receiver yourself,
Yep.
and I saw going into this previous season, you kind of challenged him. You were kind of again seeing what he could do. You know he had potential, and he showed it this year. Talk to me about again what's to expect from him, the senior receiver, as well as you got some. Of course, Caleb Clemzak coming back. You got Jaden Ortiz. You got a couple guys who are very solid on both sides of the ball. Talk to me about again some of these returners.
Yeah, so when I first got the job, I had watched some film on Bryce, and he's got all the talent in the world. And I challenged him in the beginning of the year to be the best player in our conference. I thought he had the capability to do that, but it was how much he wanted to put in, the work he was going to do. And he came out, and from week one, he didn't back down from anybody. Whenever we needed to make a play, that's where we were going. Towards the end of the season, teams knew that, and it didn't matter. He was able to go out there and make plays. Now, like you said, it helped. We had Jaden Ortiz and Tyne Medical stepped up. We had other options, so teams couldn't solely key on him, but he's only getting better. He's just starting to see his full potential, and I think any college that's going to end up with him is going to get a great kid, and the sky's the limit for him.
Anybody else who's again going to surprise some people this year?
Tyne Medical last year had 500 yards receiving. I think he had about 28 yards per reception.
I think he made honorable mention for all areas.
And he also had 5 interceptions, kicked a 48-yard field goal. So he kind of did everything for us. A kid that to really keep your eye on, Jake Piazza. He was actually our starting running back and got hurt in week 1, about maybe half the quarter, week 1. He was able to come back towards the end of the year, but we didn't want to push it with a knee injury. Sure. And Jaden had stepped in and did an amazing job. So, but now we have both of them back, and Jake's more of a speed guy to where Jaden's a little bit more of a bruiser, so we have a nice little combination in the backfield to go along with Bryce and Tyne, and of course Caleb coming back. So.
Need that balance. All right, we're in the red zone now. I always like the little red zone rapid fire.
Oh yeah.
We ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All righty. You were a receiver back in your day. I always like to ask this question of former players. Who is a receiver that you like in today's game? It's a big receiver game. Who'd you like growing up?
Growing up is easy. That was Randy Moss. That was my guy. My quarterback from high school, Bobby Pezzavento, started his career at Miami, Ohio. I went to go see him play, and they were playing Marshall, and Randy Moss was on the field, and the things he could do were just amazing. So that was my guy growing up. Currently, Justin Jefferson's probably the best receiver in the league.
Good answer.
When you need a play, it doesn't matter if he's double teamed or not, he's going to make the play. So awesome. I'd say that's my guy right now.
Gotcha. Favorite sports movie?
The Program.
Okay.
Program. It's maybe a lesser known football film, but it's a classic.
Do you have any superstitions when you're kind of getting ready for a game? Did you have any as a player, or do you have any now as a coach, or both?
As a player, no. I didn't really have any superstitions. Now, so we got this nice gray last year, and we wore it second game, and we lost. So we went to all black.
Interesting.
I think it was game 4 that we won. And we didn't.
We strung out a couple.
We strung out the rest of the season wearing all black.
Right.
So that, and then I got candy that I keep Skittles in my pocket during the game.
Beast mode.
Yeah.
You got to recharge.
Yeah.
If you could point to one or maybe a couple guys, I would say is your biggest mentor to get you kind of as a coaching mentor. Would you say if you could decide on a couple, who would they be?
It would be Dale Carlson, was my college coach at Trine University. He also ended up at Valpo University for a while. He kind of got me started. Bill Melby gave me my high school start at Lake Central. Tony Klimzak brought me on and really helped me understand offense a lot better than I did. And then Rick Good.
Gotcha.
Rick was so great at building programs and having that relationship with the kids, and I really took a lot from that. So those are the guys who really kind of took me under their wing and showed me how it was
Love it.
done.
We'll go two more. I think I know the answer to this, but what has been your favorite memory in your first season as a head coach, or up to this point?
You know, the easy answer would be to say to win conference. That's not where I'm going to go. I'm going to go the Boone Grove game because that's our big rival. It was a close game where it could have went either way, and our guys found ways to make plays at the end of the game. And just to see the excitement from not just our players, but our student section came running onto the field, and it was homecoming, so that kind of added to it.
Always fun to round this out as we score a touchdown. What is left to be said about this upcoming Wheeler team? What is there to expect, and again, to get people excited for it?
I'm really excited because we're going to have a lot of options. We're going to be able to throw the ball. We're going to be able to run the ball. We're going to play good defense. We're going to attack. We're not going to sit back and rest on what we did last year. We told the guys we're not even going to talk about it anymore. It's a new year, and we have the target on our back, and we're going to go out and meet that head on and try and take it to people.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's a touchdown. You scored plenty of these touchdowns, right?
I had quite a few.
A few here and there.
I'd like to let them know how many I had.
That's another episode of 100 Yards, of course, with Nick Testa. I'm Mike DeWan, Zach Miller behind the camera, all with the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
For over 100 years, Burns Funeral Home and Crematory has been assisting families in their time of need. Serving Northwest Indiana, the staff at Burns Funeral Home will help guide your family in creating a meaningful ceremony. From a simple to elaborate to traditional or unique, the caring family at Burns Funeral Home will tailor a ceremony to fit your needs. And for your other loved ones, Burns Funeral now has a pet cemetery and crematory. Visit burnsfuneral.com or give them a call at 219-942-1117.
Welcome into another edition of Region Sports here at Wheeler High School. As Thomas, take it away.
Thank you, Josh. Welcome to High School Game Day on Regan Sports Nation and Regan's Corner Sports Network. It's the only game in town where athletes come first. I'm your play-by-play announcer, Tom Hill.
And I'm Byron Terry, here to bring you all the excitement and in-depth analysis throughout the game.
Tonight, we have an exhilarating matchup that promises to be a nail-biter from start to finish.
Absolutely, Thomas. Both teams have been preparing hard, and we're about to see some top-tier high school athletics.
Let's not waste any more time. The players are ready, the crowd is pumped, and so are we. Stay tuned for an action-packed game right after this quick commercial break. Welcome back to High School Game Day on Regan Sports Nation and Regan's Corner Sports Network. The game is about to begin, and we'll bring you every scoring opportunity with quick breakdowns and expert insights. Let's get ready for some high school sports action.
It's going to be a fantastic game. Stay with us because you don't want to miss a single moment.
And, just to preview this game, we have the Wheeler Bearcats taking on the Kankakee Valley Cougars. Kankakee Valley coming off a win last week at home against Rensselaer Central. They defeated them by a score of 23-0. Wheeler, on the other hand, coming off of a 41-21 road loss at the hands of the Hanover Central Wildcats. And Byron, there are some players to note for in this game, and people we have to really keep our eye on from both squads. And you have to take a look at both of these running backs. Let's start for Kankakee Valley. Marco Castro, just a week ago, in that 23-0 win, he had 34 carries, 336 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns on the ground. That's good for 9.9 yards per carry. And then over on the Wheeler side, Jaden Ortiz, the senior, had 21 carries, 90 yards, a touchdown. He also had 3 tackles too, senior running back / linebacker. So listen, both of these teams are very similar. Both of them want to play kind of similar styles to their games. So, we should expect to see a lot of running football. It's something that is very prevalent at the high school level. And I mean, even if you take a look at the numbers, even Ortiz last week, but Marco Castro, 336 yards and 34 carries. And to have that much volume and have 9.9 yards per carry is pretty spectacular.
Absolutely, absolutely. Both teams are going to be relying heavily on their run game. Both teams are going to be feeding their running backs, and the running backs are going to be doing a lot of the work tonight. Running backs and the offensive line, both teams are going to depend heavily on each other's run games, and it'll be exciting.
Something to note as well last week, as we've mentioned, Kankakee Valley coming off of a 23-0 loss in that game against Rensselaer Central. They had 15 first downs. They ran 58 total plays compared to Rensselaer Central's 41. So dominating the time of possession. We said this last week in the game between Knox and North Judson. It tends to be the team that holds the ball the longest usually ends up winning. And then if you take a look at the Bearcats last week, they had the ball for just about the same time as Hanover Central, but Hanover Central was able to pull away late in that game and eventually came out on top by 20. But we will see an interesting game. This should shape up to be a close one here in Valparaiso, Indiana, home of the Wheeler Bearcats. And, Byron, this should be a close game. We mentioned the running backs. Would you agree that this should be a tight contest?
For sure, for sure. I think a matchup to note is both teams' running backs versus both teams' linebacker core. So whose running backs are going to do better against whose linebacker core, whose defensive line is going to do better against whose offensive line, and it's going to be a very big clash between running back and linebacker and offensive line and defensive line. So I think a key for both teams' defense is to get off the field, stop the other team's running back.
And another matchup to note is the quarterback matchup, which is our pregame X factors. The quarterback for Kankakee Valley is Diego Arroyo, the senior quarterback / corner, a two-way player. A season ago, had 1,359 passing yards, 14 TDs, 7 INTs. And then the quarterback on the Wheeler side is Caleb Klimzek. And Klimzek is also a senior as well. He had 1,767 yards through the air a season ago, 19 touchdown passes, 7 INTs. And, Wheeler at home here in week 2, obviously the crushing 20-point loss in week 1, Byron. But you got to figure, this is a team that can score. This is a team that can run the football, obviously. And a season ago, Wheeler 6-4. And, they're looking to come out on top here in week 2, their first home game of the year.
Absolutely. They're going to definitely want to get a win at home.
And that's where it can be so tough. Still early in the season, but Kankakee Valley looking to make it 2-0 here in the short season so far. Last year, the Kankakee Valley Cougars finished with a record of 5-6. They were 2-4 in the Northwest Crossroads Conference. They are a 4A division team. The Wheeler Bearcats are in Class 2A. They were 6-4 last year, 4-0 in the Greater South Shore Conference. As we are almost underway to get going here in this game. And if you're just tuned in, Tom Hill, Byron Terry with you on the call. Regan Corner Sports Network on Region Sports Nation. Josh Regan, our producer, live at the site in Valparaiso, Indiana. And to Byron's point, we have seen last week where Marco Castro, the running back for Kankakee Valley, went absolutely off, to say the least. 336 yards, 34 carries, 3 touchdowns as well. He averaged 9.9 yards per carry. And, we saw, before the game, chatting with head coach Nick Testa for Wheeler. And, he said that a player to look out for in this game are the receivers of Bryce Compton and Tyne Vedekal. And both of those guys were first and second, respectively, in receiving yards a season ago. Compton led the way at 867. He also had 40 catches, which led the team, and 8 touchdowns. Vedekal had 24 catches for 475 yards and 4 touchdowns as well. So this is a team, obviously we like to talk about the running back position, but Byron, they can also air it out with Klimzek. And, if you can be two-dimensional at this high school football level, it can make you so tough to beat.
Yeah, it can definitely make you tough to beat if you're two-dimensional at the high school football level. If you can run the ball and throw the ball, then you are a major threat to a lot of defenses. So defenses are going to have a really good game plan.
Yeah, we didn't see it last week. We didn't quite see it last week on the Wheeler side. As we've mentioned on this pregame, they lost 41-21 at the hands of the Hanover Central Wildcats. But Kankakee Valley coming off a 23-0 win over Rensselaer Central. They were at home a week ago. So it's going to be interesting to see who early in this game can set the tone. Obviously, with the Cougars, they're running back in Marco Castro, who had 336 yards last week. It would be easy to say that you wouldn't expect a repeat performance, but that efficiency with that volume and those yards, that can be a really tough player to stop. And, we saw it last week covering the Knox and North Judson game where Cole Wilcox, the running back for North Judson, he went off for 3 touchdowns. You know, as you get later in this game, if you can pound the ball on the ground with your running game, it makes you so tough to stop, and it makes you so much freer as an offense because it allows you to set some stuff up.
Definitely, definitely. I think with being a two-dimensional team, you know, with running the ball well, that can open a lot of things up with the passing game, albeit play action, read option, and those sorts of things. So I think it's really good to keep opposing defenses on their toes. So I think, you know, Kankakee and Wheeler are going to have to do a lot of that, keep both of each other's defenses on their toes and, you know, really try to surprise them a bit. You know, you may run the ball and then you might pass it. They may think it's a run, and then you end up passing the ball. They may think it's a pass, and then they end up running the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how both of their defenses and offenses match up.
Yeah, game time just a couple of minutes away, and week 2 of action between these two squads. The state rank for Wheeler in Indiana 197, Kankakee Valley with an Indiana state rank of 157. Pretty tight game, or at least shapes up to be one between these two squads. Obviously, the Bearcats from Wheeler coming off of a tough 20-point loss last week, so looking to get off the schneid, so to speak, and you know, what a better way to do it at home. You know, still early in this season, still not even September yet, and you see the guys pumped up as they go to their respective sidelines. You know, Byron, how big is it? Obviously, coming off of a loss, you know, a bad taste in your mouth, losing 41-21, but now you're here at home, here in Wheeler. You know, it's big for this home team to come out in front of their crowd and pick up a W.
Absolutely. You know, they may have lost week 1 in a blowout loss, but all that doesn't matter now. It's a new game. It's week 2. They're at their home field, so they need to focus on their home field, focus on this game, focus on their home crowd and getting everybody energized. And they just need to play. Don't worry about the loss that they had the week before and just play the game today. Don't worry about anything else before. Don't worry about anything else after. Just focus on this game right now.
And something that we have seen to a certain extent, you know, just taking a look at the statistics of both quarterbacks, Arroyo for Kankakee Valley and Klimzek for Wheeler, you know, they do air it out a little bit more than you traditionally see from teams at the high school level. And that could be something of note and something that we see take shape in this game. But obviously, Marco Castro for the Kankakee Valley Cougars had 336 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns as well last week in the 23-0 victory for the Cougars, as Wheeler appears to be ready to boot this one away. So the Kankakee Valley Cougars will start off with the ball here in this ball game. Week 2, game 2 here in Valparaiso, Indiana. Region Sports Network here at Regan's Corner. Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Wheeler will send this one down. Kankakee Valley will return it, and we are underway here in this ball game. It's a good return, tripped up at about the 33-yard line. So we'll see what the Bearcats do on their first offensive possession. So we mentioned, led by head coach Kirk Kennedy. They were 5-6 a season ago, 2-4 in the Northwest Crossroads Conference. So looking to improve on this season. You know, a relatively veteran squad. Diego Arroyo, the quarterback, a senior. The aforementioned Marco Castro, the running back, is a senior as well. Castro in the backfield. You have Nolan Quistra out wide to the left. And Quistra goes in motion, ranging left to right. Arroyo the snap, the throw out wide to the right. But the reinforcements there immediately for Wheeler, and a minimal gain, if any, for the Bearcats. So an immediate defensive stop. That's what you want if you're this Bearcat squad defensively. You know, you want 11 noses to the football. It's the old adage. It's a cliche, but, you know, that's something that will be in line here in this game. The snap and the give goes to Castro. Marco Castro, who had all those yards last week, rumbles forward to the 42-yard line, so getting a little bit closer to the line to gain. So you got to figure in a 3rd down and short situation, we'll probably see Castro again. So I mentioned Kankakee Valley, Castro had 336 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. And in that game, the Cougars only had 352 yards on the ground. So a large portion of that from number 22. And he's in the backfield now. Arroyo, the quarterback, 2 receivers flanked out wide to the right. Quistra in motion. The pitch is to him, ranging right. Does he have an angle? Doesn't look like he does. So Wheeler able to make a defensive stop as they tried the jet sweep to Nolan Quistra, but he was unable to get any serious yardage. So still at the 42-yard line, the own 42-yard line of Kankakee Valley here on this inaugural possession. As I mentioned, the Kankakee Valley Cougars come in 1-0. Wheeler Bearcats come in at 0-1. Wheeler in their home orange unis here in Valparaiso, Indiana. 2 receivers flanked out wide to the right. Now they send one in motion. Arroyo gets the snap. Pressure comes from Wheeler. Rolls right, throws right, and it's hauled in right up on that far sideline and shoved out of bounds for a 1st down. Kankakee Valley is able to move the sticks. And this is what you want to see if you're this offense. Keep on matriculating the ball down the field and pick up good yardage, pick up the easy yards, the safe yards, and then set up some of the yards that you eventually need, maybe on 2nd or 3rd and short situations. We've seen Arroyo and the Cougars pass a lot here in this game. Now the pitch goes to Castro, bounces it left, has a lot of space, and Marco Castro gets tripped up after a big gain up to the 36-yard line. So into Wheeler territory they go. And Byron, we have seen a very impressive start to this ball game from Kankakee Valley offensively.
Absolutely. I think Kankakee Valley has done well with their running game, but I also think Wheeler's defense was doing pretty well against them on the first couple of plays, but Kankakee started getting things rolling a little bit more, getting the ball to some of their playmakers, getting to the outside a bit. So they're having a good first drive.
Yeah, we have seen some of the receivers in action for this Kankakee Valley squad, a team that a season ago threw it 151 times. Actually, 152. Arroyo had 151 himself. So this is a team that can really stretch out the big play if they need. Obviously, a dominant 23-0 win against Rensselaer Central last week. 2 receivers in the action to the left. Pressure comes. Arroyo rolling right. Now looking, throwing across his body, and a wide open grab for a Cougar touchdown. They take the opening possession and march right down the field for 6. A dominant opening possession for Kankakee Valley. Breaking loose and scoring, Adrian Ukman. He was just wide open, Byron, right down the field. And just like that, Arroyo and this Cougar squad able to answer for 6 here early in this game.
Yeah, those receivers are getting open. You got to cover those types of things. You can't have receivers just running down the field wide open. So Wheeler secondary has got to tighten up.
And this is something to note. They did use Castro a bit on that opening possession, but it didn't even feel like he was a focal point necessarily, because there were enough holes that they exploited in the Wheeler defense for them to find that shot to Ukman down the field.
Definitely.
So we'll see if they set up a point after touchdown, and it looks like they will, as Trevor Poplowski will look to put it through to make this 7-0. And a flag flies in, false start on Kankakee Valley, so that'll move the try back just a bit. So a little over 3 minutes gone here in this ball game, and the Kankakee Valley Cougars on the road, an immediate statement here in Wheeler. The 23-0 win last week. Poplowski gets a good snap. The kick is up. I believe he is able to put it through. And he is. So 7-0 Cougars. They're able to march right down the field, and just over 3 minutes gone in that possession, Byron. And, we talked about this on our pregame show. It's going to be about which team is able to start well and then try to carry that momentum. The game we did last week, it was Knox who had that big touchdown run from Jake Conroy. So they were up early, but North Judson at home was able to strike back. So Wheeler down 7-0, but still very early in this game. And they have a lot of time with a really good offense to strike back and answer on their own end. But Kankakee Valley has just come out with a gut punch immediately early here in this game.
It'll be interesting to see how Wheeler responds.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Kankakee Valley continues with their offense. A week ago against Rensselaer Central, Arroyo only threw 6 passes for 18 yards. He was 2 for 6. But then on that opening possession here against Wheeler, we saw him throw the ball a lot to a bevy of different receivers. So, different game plan, but if they're able to open this offense up, then it makes the threat of the running back Marco Castro all the more imposing as the Cougars pooch this one down the field, and the Wheeler Bearcats will get their first licks offensively here at home in Valparaiso, Indiana. To our point on this broadcast, if you just tuned in, Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Regan Corner Sports Network here on Region Sports Network. Wheeler was defeated a week ago, 41-21 on the road against Hanover Central. That game was tied at 14-14 after the first quarter, but Hanover Central with 17-0 run in the second quarter. They were up 31-14 at halftime and finished the game up 41-21 and did not look back. So the senior quarterback of Caleb Klimczak looking for a 180, for a lack of a better term, here this week at home. They put Connor Welch in motion, ranging right to left. The give is to the back, Jaden Ortiz, bounces left, but the reinforcement's there for the Cougars to shove him down for a loss on the play. Jaden Ortiz, the senior running back, was a player to note on this Wheeler offense. He had 21 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown last week against Hanover Central. Also had 3 tackles on the defensive end as well. Ball at about the 35-yard line. 3 receivers in the formation and a back next to the quarterback, Klimczak. They put Welsh in motion. Klimczak gets the snap. It's a fake. Open is Welsh. Bounces it right. Breaks a tackle. Welsh is free down the near sideline, and he trips up and loses the ball at about the 30-yard line. But a phenomenal run there from Connor Welch, the sophomore. A big play for the Wheeler Bearcats. Welch just a season ago had 104 yards on 7 catches and 2 touchdowns. But that's how you endear yourself to this team, and that's how you get going on your first offensive possession. And especially making a man miss and then doing it, in the yards after contact variety. So now in Kankakee Valley territory are the Bearcats. Klimczak, the give to Ortiz, looking for some space to develop, and he gets wrestled down right near the 30-yard line. Good open field tackle by Gavin Joy, and that'll set up a second down, modest pickup for Wheeler. As we're getting closer to the midway point here in quarter number 1. If you're just tuned in, Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. The Kankakee Valley Cougars taking on the Wheeler Bearcats here in Wheeler. Valparaiso, Indiana, the home site. Josh Regan our producer live at the site. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. They put Welsh in motion. Klimczak the snap. Pressure comes, looking left. The pass is hauled in by Ortiz, but a modest pickup. Good open field tackle again by Kankakee Valley. And an aggressive stop by Edward Ritchie. And that's going to set up a big play here for the Bearcats. This will be a big 3rd down coming up. Five in the pattern to choose from Klimczak. Pressure comes from Kankakee Valley. He lets it rip down the field. Pass is hauled in. A phenomenal catch by Bryce Compton. Inside the 5, the Bearcats go. Another big play for Wheeler. That's what you need, especially in response to the touchdown given up on your defensive end. You need to come back down here on your first offensive possession to try to answer. And, we have seen both teams really let it rip. Big play there to Compton, who led the team in receptions and yards a season ago. And the give goes to Ortiz, bouncing it right up near the goal line, but he appears to be just a bit shy. So for now, Kankakee Valley holds. Wheeler, a season ago, 6-4, led by head coach Nick Testa. They were 4-0 in the Greater South Shore Conference. And obviously a 20-point loss last week against Hanover Central. Welsh the motion man. We've seen him a lot in that role. Ortiz the back. 5 to play in this first quarter. The give goes to Ortiz. He takes it right up the gut, and I believe he's just shy again. So the Kankakee Valley front is able to hold up just enough, bend but don't break mentality. Something we've been saying a lot here on this broadcast. Kankakee Valley won last week 23-0. Rensselaer Central did not really muster up anything really on offense. They only had 6 first downs. They only ran 41 total plays against a dominant Cougar defense. Klimczak, the snap, they give it up to Ortiz again. And I believe he stood up again, and he is. So they've been trying to punch it in with Jaden Ortiz, a guy who had a touchdown last week and a focal point for this Bearcat squad a season ago. He had 1,185 yards and 600-plus yard runs. He had 12 touchdowns for 5.4 yards per carry. But now, a little under 4 minutes to go here in quarter number 1. There's 2 backs in the formation. Klimczak hands it off to Ortiz, bounces it right up the gut, and he is in. They finally punch it through. Jaden Ortiz with the answer for Wheeler, and a point after away from tying us at 7. So, Byron, that is exactly what you need in this game if you're the Bearcats. We saw a couple of big plays offensively on their end, and they're able to march down the field and answer to Kankakee Valley's score.
Yep, absolutely. That was a good response from Wheeler. Their first drive sort of started out a little bit slow on offense, but they started picking it up, and they ended up getting a touchdown. So I think that was a great response from them.
Point after try is up from Logan Fox, and it is no good. So he missed it just wide. It'll stay at 7-6. 3:31 mark here in quarter number 1. Both teams are able to march down the field and drive and score on their first offensive possessions. And Byron, something we, typically don't see at the high school level that we've seen so far in this first quarter. We've seen a lot of passing, and, a lot of times you would see teams just, pass almost as a shock, almost to try to catch the defense off guard. But it feels like both of these offenses have a lot of confidence. The coaches have a lot of confidence in their quarterbacks to make throws. And both quarterbacks so far early have made big-time throws.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're not just relying on their run game, which is so prevalent in both of these offenses. They're mixing it up, and they're throwing the ball a good bit. And both QBs have started out pretty well. Receivers are getting open. I think the protection on offense is decent for both teams, not great. But nonetheless, the offense is making plays.
Yeah, we have seen both receivers on both ends. Adrian Ukman hauled in the touchdown on the Kankakee Valley end, and then the big play by Bryce Compton. He was the team leader in receptions, yards, and touchdowns a year ago from Wheeler. He set them inside the 5, and they eventually punched it in with Jaden Ortiz to get us within 1 now at 7-6, 3:31 mark here in this first quarter. Kankakee Valley taking on Wheeler. Wheeler will squib this one down the field. And it's picked up at about the 18-yard line, and a good return up past the 30 at about the 31, 32-yard line. So that's where the Kankakee Valley Cougars and Diego Arroyo will take shape for their second offensive possession. And their first one, very fruitful. We saw a couple of key first downs picked up. And, you know, Byron, what does this Wheeler front need to do to try to get a stop to then swing the momentum back on their end?
Wheeler's front has to get the quarterback. They got to get to the QB. They got to sack the quarterback. That quarterback has way too much time to throw, and receivers are getting open. So Kankakee Valley has some really good receivers. They got a good offense. So Wheeler has to get to the QB.
Arroyo rolling right, looking for something to develop, but nothing there as it's incomplete. So a rare misstep for this Cougar offense, something that we haven't seen in that first possession, something we didn't see last week in their 23-0 victory. And just keep on matriculating the ball down the field. To our point, Marco Castro, we mentioned earlier on this broadcast, the running back for the Cougars, had 336 yards on 34 carries a week ago, but it's a QB fake. Arroyo keeps it, but is absolutely flushed back, going nowhere, thrown to the ground at about the 21-yard line. So the reinforcements come for Wheeler, and they're able to get a big-time stop. Arroyo appears to be just a bit shaky. But Byron, right to your point, you know, when Wheeler needs something to happen defensively, you know, on defense, you can't be methodical. You got to make stuff happen. And they made something happen there. And this is going to set up a big third down for Kankakee Valley.
Right. That defense, they got to get to the QB. Shut down their best players. Some defenses look at things like, okay, if your running back is your best player, we're not going to let your running back beat us. Everybody else can beat us, the receivers, tight ends, whoever, even the quarterback, but the running back is not going to do it. So Wheeler's defense needs to shut them down.
And that is an interesting point because on the first offensive possession from Kankakee Valley, you know, they kind of played right into your point where, hey, the quarterback and the receiver ended up beating you, but we have seen a little bit of Marco Castro, but now in a situation like this, you got to figure third and long, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him to be a focal point. But he's in the backfield. They put a man in motion, and that's Quistra, who ranges into the slot on the right side. Pressure comes from Wheeler. Arroyo drops back, now has to escape, rolling left, gets a block, is going to run to the left side, and will be thrown down at about the 10-yard line. As the reinforcements come in, a slew of orange jerseys throw Arroyo to the ground. The big man in there, Colton Kingery, the middle linebacker, amongst others. So we really haven't seen the Kankakee Valley offense get going the way we saw on their first possession in this game. And it has been a much stronger effort and stronger results here on this possession from Wheeler. So referees will converge and we'll see what the call is. I believe that looks to be a face mask on one of the Wheeler defenders. And if so, that could be really crucial. Minute 47 here in this first quarter, 7-6 Kankakee Valley. Kankakee Valley 1-0, Wheeler 0-1. This is the first home game for the Wheeler Bearcats here in Valparaiso, Indiana. Regan Corners Sports Network, Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Arroyo the snap, immediately looks right, rolls right. Pressure comes again from Wheeler, and they throw him to the ground. A strong, stout defensive possession for the Wheeler Bearcats. And another play where this Cougar offense goes backwards. The man on the stop, Charlie Casper. Senior D end, pushes the ball back to the 6-yard line. So a long ways to go for the Cougars, dwindling down here in quarter number 1. Got to figure Wheeler's probably pinning their ears back, and they move. They move before the snap. This will be a crusher. So the offsides will give Kankakee Valley more yardage. And we have seen this, Byron, a couple times on this possession where Wheeler looks strong, but the penalties have kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, can't have the penalties, especially mental errors. Now, if you have a holding call or pass interference, whatever, I understand that. But a mental error such as being offsides or false starting, you can't have that.
The give goes to Castro. He sees decent yardage right up the gut, and he takes it forward and puts Kankakee Valley in a more respectable situation now. Right up at about the 20-yard line. A little under 2 minutes to play here in quarter number 1. Kankakee Valley with a 7-6 lead. Both teams have had one offensive possession, one complete offensive possession here already, and both of them ended with touchdowns. Wheeler missed the extra point, which is why we have the 1-point disparity. Little over a minute to play here in this game. So Wheeler able to come up with a defensive stop as Kankakee Valley will punt it end over end. It takes a better Wheeler bounce, but still good starting position up at the 41-yard line. So the Wheeler Bearcats will take over offensively. And a very successful inaugural drive for them here at home in Valparaiso, Indiana. Big plays from the quarterback, Caleb Klimczak, who we have seen let it rip down the field. We've seen a couple of catches from Connor Welch as well as Bryce Compton, who set up that big catch inside the 5, which led eventually to the Jaden Ortiz touchdown. The Bearcats looking to take the lead after trailing 7-0 in this game. Under a minute to go here in this quarter. Welch the motion man, Klimczak the snap. The give goes to Ortiz, looking for space to develop, and not a whole lot. Tripped up at about the 43-yard line, so it'll bring up about 2nd down and 8. Week ago, Wheeler lost 41-21 in that game. They did have 62 plays, but not very efficient, only 17 first downs. And even if you do struggle to stop on defense, it's going to be really tough offensively to try to get anything going. Welch the motion man again, ranging right to left. Limbs at the snap, pressure comes. He's going to let it rip down the field. It's hauled in by Vetical, and he is gone. Touchdown, Bearcats. Time Vetical. They've scored 2 here in the first quarter, and they take the lead. An unbelievable play from Klimczak. And Byron, we have really seen Klimczak just let it rip here in this first quarter.
Oh, yeah. These teams are airing it out. Wheeler's quarterback was able to make a really good throw with pressure in his face, threw the ball right to the receiver's outside shoulder. Receiver caught the ball. Touchdown. Easy.
Time Vetical had 475 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns a season ago, second in both marks behind Bryce Compton. So we have seen Ortiz with a touchdown, now Vetical with the touchdown. And something, Byron, we have mentioned on the pregame show is, how multifaceted can you be offensively? And the more you are, the better your offense is going to be, as Wheeler looks to be ready to go for 2. They have 2 backs in the formation. Klimczak the snap. He's looking left, and he finds his man Compton. So they convert for 2, 14-7. Wheeler out on top as we dwindle down here in quarter number 1. Time Vetical right down the near sideline, and it was just a phenomenal catch and grab and go, and he beat his man. Back to the action here on Regan Corner Sports Network, Region Sports Network. Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. 14-7, Wheeler with the 7-point lead. After it was 7-0 Kankakee Valley, the Wheeler Bearcats were able to answer with 2 touchdowns of their own. From the senior running back, Jaden Ortiz, and now the junior receiver, Tyne Vedekal. And we have seen quarterback Caleb Klimczek really air it out for this Bearcat squad. You know, a team that can rely on Ortiz, their running back, but Byron, you know, just touch on how big it is to have your quarterback air out the ball and what that does for your offense.
It opens up so much for an offense because the defense is going to be thinking pass, 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 and then next thing they know, it's a run play. So the defense is kind of shook. So when you have a quarterback and receiver who are doing so well, who have such a good connection, especially from the quarterback, that can do so much for an offense. So it opens up the whole playbook, and there's no limit to what they can do.
Yeah, 14-7 lead, and a lot of that has been buoyed by the fact that they are just letting it rip with Klimczek, as Wheeler will kick this one down for Kankakee Valley, who scored a touchdown on their opening possession, but were stalled out on their second possession, and a good return here up the far sideline, up close to midfield, up right near the 42-yard line, and that's where the Kankakee Valley Cougars will set up shop for their third offensive possession. But it'll come after this as quarter number 1 will conclude. And Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. It has been a back and forth first quarter, to say the least, where Kankakee Valley started off strong, scoring the touchdown on the big play from Diego Arroyo to his receiver, Adrian Ukman, who hauled it in with nobody to beat and made it 7-0 Cougars. But then Wheeler was able to answer with the touchdown on their end. Big play set up by Klimczek to Bryce Compton. Jaden Ortiz eventually put it in, made it 7-6. Then they got a stop on their defensive side, but then turned around offensively and scored a big play from Klimczek to Tyne Vedekal. Vedekal had 134 receiving yards a week ago against Hanover Central, and he has a big, long reception and touchdown here tonight. So 14-7 Wheeler with the lead, Kankakee Valley with the ball. And a good starting field position up at the 39-yard line are the Cougars. So looking to set up shop is Arroyo, coming off a 23-0 win last week against Rensselaer Central. Wheeler in Class 2A, Kankakee Valley in Class 4A. Receiver out wide to the left, one out to the right. The give goes to Castro. He's been just a bit quiet here in this game, and right on cue for this Wheeler front. We saw very strong on their last defensive possession, and just a modest pickup of about one, maybe 1.5 for Marco Castro, who had 336 yards on the ground on 34 carries last week. In that big 23-0 win, he also had 3 touchdowns as well. So this was a player I'm sure head coach Nick Testa circled heading into this matchup, and they've done a pretty good job with him up to this point. Arroyo the snap, the give, and another modest gain for Kankakee Valley. So they've been trying to open up the running game here in this one, and it just hasn't worked to the level that we have seen it, as Nolan Koister got tackled for another small pickup. So up to the 44-yard line. This will bring up about a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 for Kankakee Valley. Just a minute gone here in quarter number 2. One receiver out wide to the left, another in the slot out to the left. Castro the back, Arroyo the snap. Sets up a pitch play, but he's going to keep it himself, and he gets thrown to the ground at the 49-yard line. But the Cougars are able to pick up just enough to move the sticks, a first down. Kankakee Valley had a total of 15 first downs last week in their 23-0 win. That game was more aided on the backs of their stout defense. But Byron, what does this Cougar team need to do to answer here now down a score?
They got to get the ball to their playmakers. I understand that they're, really trying to run the ball. They have a really talented running back, but I think they got to throw the ball a little bit. I think they got to throw the ball and catch, Wheeler secondary off guard.
Yeah, Castro profiling to be a bruiser. He gets the snap here and takes it up to about the 45-yard line for a gain of about 4. And, that is kind of where it gets interesting, where, if you're a team that really relies on the running game and a strong running game, it can be crucial, it can be beneficial, but where it could also be tough is when you're trailing, as they are here. How do you come back, while you're trailing? Because the running game usually doesn't work to the same zenith, as Castro gets the ball again and gets flung for another small pickup. So this will set up third down, Kankakee Valley's third offensive possession. Their first one was the big score, the big play from Diego Arroyo to Adrian Uckman. About 3 minutes gone here in quarter number 2. Wheeler with a 14-7 lead here at home. And after giving up that touchdown, they got the strong defensive stop at the latter portion of that first quarter, looking for another stop here. Arroyo drops back, looking to pass. Pressure comes, rolling right, and it's dropped by his receiver, intended for Jaden Anderson, who was wide open. But he couldn't haul it in, and that's going to be crucial. Can't have those miscues, Byron, because it was nothing but green grass, a breakdown in Wheeler's defense, but the Cougars unable to capitalize.
Yep, can't have that. Can't have that. With a catch like that, that should be a catch that most receivers usually make. I understand that, receivers drop the ball all the time. It is what it is. It's fine. But those type of plays are missed opportunities.
And then the big picture of this is that this could turn into a big play for Wheeler, and it's bobbled by Arroyo, who gets thrown to the ground at about the 41-yard line. He was trying to get a punt off, but could not. So back to what I was saying, my point of momentum. And if you're a believer in momentum, it is now flipped completely to the Wheeler Bearcats side. And you got to figure Byron up already by 1 score. And this offense has been humming, both passing, both running. And you got to figure you could put something together here to go up 2 scores and feel really good about yourself as we move towards the middle portion of this game.
Yep. If I'm Wheeler, I want to score again. Don't take your foot off the gas. Just because you're up by a touchdown in the second quarter, that doesn't mean anything. So we've seen it countless times in high school football, college football, NFL football. When you take your foot off the gas, knowing that the game isn't really over yet, that can be detrimental and come back to bite you later on. So if I'm Wheeler, score again. I might want to run the ball some just to get that clock down a little bit, but they got to lead the drive with something. So they're going to have to get some points on the board this drive.
We love home internet from T-Mobile. Oh, now Mesh boosts Wi-Fi all over your home. Taking a class in your attic, that dead spot is gone. Stream ballet.
Back to the action. Klimczak gets the snap, is going to air it out down the field, and he overshoots his man. just wide, just a bit incomplete. Boy, they could have had a big play there to start off this drive, but those two just a bit out of sync because there was a misstep, a rare misstep that we've seen from this offense. Pass intended for Vetikal, who had the touchdown on the previous offensive drive from Wheeler. The midway portion, or nearing the midway portion here in quarter number 2, Wheeler with a 14-7 lead. And on both of their offensive possessions, they have been successful. Touchdowns from senior running back Jaden Ortiz and junior receiver Tyne Vetikal. Klimzek back to pass again, is going to let it rip for the far sideline, and it's incomplete looking for Compton. As he was trying to toe tap his way on that sideline just past the line to gain. But it's going to set up third down. So Byron, an offense that we saw humming on their first 2 possessions, they have really let Klimzek let it rip here, but it's going to set up a big third down.
Yep. I think, Wheeler had some missed opportunities there on offense. I feel like, some of the plays were a little bit sloppy, or at least some of the results of those plays, but they're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to figure it out. They were on such not, I guess, a high momentum type of thing, but they had some momentum going into this drive, so they got to do better.
And right on cue, that's how you do better. A screen pass set up for Jaden Ortiz, and he's able to take this one out of bounds with first down yardage. So we've seen Wheeler just matriculate the ball down the field, and when they needed a pass, they've passed. When they've needed to run, they have run. They only had 17 first downs, to my point earlier on this broadcast a week ago on the road against Hanover Central. So a much better offensive showing and a much better game script for the Bearcats here at home. Obviously, they have done good on their first 2 offensive possessions. Welch, the motion man, now flanked right next to the right tackle. The give goes to Ortiz. He had the touchdown on the first Wheeler drive, and he takes this one up to about the 26-yard line. So the reinforcements come in for Kankakee Valley, who needs a stop. And on the action, Aiden Fuqua, amongst some others. Kankakee Valley has been a little disjointed on their own offensive side, so it's big for them to, at the very least, hold Wheeler to maybe a field goal try, or maybe if you're the Bearcats with how you've been playing offensively, you do try to go for it on 4th down. Not there just yet. So a few more downs to play with. Give right up the gut, but stuffed and thrown back. So not much doing there on that play. So Kankakee Valley has really stepped up on their last 2 plays defensively, and it's going to set up a big third down for Wheeler. We've seen the Cougars get Wheeler into a third down on this possession already, but Klimzek's screen pass to Jaden Ortiz, they were able to move the sticks. And now looking to move the sticks even more further down the field. Welch, the motion man, ranging left to right. Klimzek gets the snap. Pressure comes from the left side. Flag flies in, and he gets thrown down to the ground by Gavin Renfro. A flag flies in. We'll see who that's on. It appears to be in the Wheeler backfield, but the referees will sort this one out. If it is on Wheeler, this would be pivotal for Kankakee Valley to get a defensive stop and then try to at least thwart the momentum and see if you can gain it back on your end and put something together on your own offensive drive. But we'll see what the call is here. Ball is at about the 31-yard line. 5:10 mark here in this second quarter. Colton Kingery, the back, right to the left of Klimzek. Pressure is picked up. Klimzek, a lot of time, lets it rip down the field. And hauling it in was Compton, but I believe they're going to say he's out of bounds. So they tried to take a big shot and dial it up for Bryce Compton. And right on that far sideline, they're going to mark him just out of bounds. So they tried to let it rip again and be aggressive, Byron, but they just missed. And this is going to be big time because this will set up a Wheeler Bearcat punt. So Kankakee Valley with their first defensive stop on the night. And it comes at a big time, down 14-7 here in the second quarter, and a chance to answer on their own end. So Wheeler will punt this one away. End over end at about their own 48-yard line. It's taken in. Deep is Kankakee Valley, and he gets thrown down right near the 10-yard line. So that is where Diego Arroyo will set up shop. His first possession for these Cougars went well. It set up the big play to Adrian Ukman, who hauled it in for the touchdown. But since then, Wheeler has dropped 14 unanswered. And that's where, if you're Kankakee Valley, that big stop comes at such a crucial point because now you have a chance to answer on your own end. And this is something you have to be very cognizant of, at the midway point in this game. Flanked out wide to the left, Arroyo is the give, and bouncing it left is Castro, and he ranges left, and he is free. Marco Castro, who had 3 touchdowns a week ago. Can he beat the one man who tries to trip him up? Yes, he can. Touchdown Cougars. Marco Castro, just like that. 1 play, 6 points. They answer. That's all it takes to shift the momentum onto the side of the Kankakee Valley Cougars, as their last 2 offensive possessions did not go their way. But this one, they're able to make do right away, and just putting this game back in their side, especially if they're able to get a defensive stop as well. So 14-13, pending an extra point to tie us at 14 apiece. Good snap, good hold. Kick is up, kick is through. So 14-14, just like that, Kankakee Valley is able to tie us up. It's been a back-and-forth affair, to say the least, Byron, and boy, all they needed was 1 play to answer right back.
Yep, like you were saying, I agree. They just needed 1 play to answer back, and that came from their star running back who got loose and scored a touchdown. So that was really cool for Kankakee Valley to get. The run game has been improving throughout the game, and that was just a prime example of that.
Easily more than 50-plus yards on that play from Castro, and a guy who we really circled on our pregame. He had 336 yards on 34 carries a week ago against Rensselaer Central, and he also had 3 touchdowns, 9.9 yards per carry. That was the big home run play. A lot of times when you think home run, you think receivers, you think quarterbacks, you think stretching the ball down the field, but sometimes you just got to give it to your guy and tell him to make something happen, and boy, did he ever on that play. Now 14-14, and you got to feel now on the Wheeler side of things, hey, we just got punched in the mouth, and that you look back at that offensive drive that they had up 14-7 just right before that touchdown, and you got to feel like, hey, maybe they could have put something on the board on their end. But now they have to kind of go back to the drawing board and answer here at about the 5:05 mark in quarter number 2. If you just tuned in, Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Josh Regan, our producer, live in Valparaiso, Indiana, home of the Wheeler Bearcats. Kankakee Valley will kick it away. Takes a couple of hops to about the 16-yard line. And looking for some space and bouncing left, but getting thrown to the ground at the 20-yard line. But that is where the Bearcats will set up shop here on their offensive drive. We have seen quarterback Caleb Klimczek really let it rip. A season ago, he had 1,767 yards, 19 TDs, 7 picks, and he has a touchdown pass in this game to Tyne Vettikal that gave Wheeler the lead at 14-7, now 14-14. But we will see, we have seen a bit of Jaden Ortiz, the running back, in the fold as well. He had a big game last week, 90 yards and a touchdown, so we'll see what the game plan is here. We've seen Klimczek really airing out so far in this game, a little under 5 to play. Klimczek the snap, the give goes to the back in Ortiz. He has space and takes it up to that next level and tackled down at about the 33-yard line. So that'll move the sticks for Wheeler. It is the defense that struggled last week for the Wheeler Bearcats. They gave up 31 points to Hanover Central in the first half. They lost 41-21 in the game. So it has been a much stronger affair here in the first half of their home opener here tonight against Kankakee Valley. And we'll see what they do moving forward offensively. This, Byron, is a game of runs, and when we've seen one team strike, we've seen another team answer. So, what does the one team have to do to try to pull away in this game?
I feel like they got to make a stop. One team or someone's team has to make a stop on defense, and their offense has to keep rolling. I know, it's a whole lot of back and forth and all this other stuff, but as a team, you don't want a whole lot of back and forth. You don't want to score and then they score. So now it's like, now we got to score again. So I feel like, of course you want to score again, but now it's like you have to. You don't just want to score, you have to score. And so I don't think, as a team, I would want to be in that position, really. So somebody's defense has to make a stop. Defense can make a stop, and then the offense just has to keep rolling.
Yeah, and it's going to be big. We have seen a couple of stops from these fronts. We see one right there as Ortiz was thwarted. So it'll set up another play coming for Wheeler. And we have seen a couple of, big plays from Wheeler's defensive front as well as some from Kankakee Valley's. But, at the end of the day, football is about who can score the most points and, who has the most success in scoring and eventually, which team wears the opposing defense down at a higher clip. That's going to be really the difference in this game. 3 receivers out wide to the right. Pressure comes from the Cougars. Klimczek airs it out, and it's Holden on the move up the far sideline. This will be a big play thrown out of bounds at the 29-yard line. So they're able to move it down the field. And a big play there to David Diaz, who hauls it in, his first grab on the game. And just like that, into Kankakee Valley with a first down. Big play again from this Bearcat offense. We have seen it, whether it's on third down or whether they just need a big throw. Caleb Klimczek is able to answer the bell, and his head coach, Nick Testa, I'm sure has a ton of confidence in him just to let it rip. And we have seen them let it rip a lot in this first half. This time it's a give and nothing but green grass for Ortiz, who eventually gets thrown down. He was looking for a cutback angle, but it was stopped by Jaden Anderson as well as Adrian Ukman. So now under 3 minutes to play here in quarter number 2. 14-14 game. Kankakee Valley comes in with a record of 1-0. The Wheeler Bearcats come in with a record of 0-1. Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Josh Regan, our producer in Valparaiso, Indiana. Byron and I doing this game remotely for Regan Corner Sports Network here in Regions Sports Network as well. 3:36 mark. My correction here in the second quarter. Bearcats looking to answer. Welsh the motion man, ranging left to right. Ortiz the back. I believe we get movement on the Bearcat offensive line. So that'll push them back just a little bit. We have seen a couple costly penalties defensively from the Bearcats. It hasn't quite cost them yet in the score column, Byron, but You can't have these add up.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Can't have those adding up. I feel like, you got to play a solid game. You can't have too many mistakes. You're going to make mistakes during the game, yeah, but those mistakes have to be minimal. Can't be a mistake that can change the game completely, and penalties can be one of those things that can. So they just got to have, better mental toughness during the game. They got to be better, mentally. They got to be more mentally sound. But it's been a little sloppy as far as penalties goes, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, so we'll see what the ruling is. It appears to be a false start, but not quite sure on the ruling for the penalty. But nonetheless, this Kankakee Valley team needs to get a stop. As we mentioned, they got the ball to start this game, so Wheeler will get the ball to start the third quarter. Dwindling down, still about 3.5 to play here in quarter number 2. And the Bearcats threaten. They give to Ortiz, bounces it up the middle, and gets thrown to the ground at about the 7-yard line. But he still did find a hole. And Byron, something that we've seen from this Wheeler team, we've seen the offensive line has really created a lot of holes and a lot of time for Klimzek to hang back and find his receivers open down the field.
Yep. Wheeler's offensive line has done pretty good, like you were saying. They've done a good job in the run game and in the pass game. Run game has been working out really well. Pass game has been too. The quarterback has a lot of time to throw, and they have really been mixing it up on offense a whole lot. And they've been scoring a lot of points because of it. They've been making some plays.
Little under 3 minutes to play. Low snap, and Klimzek handles it, and the pass is hauled in wide open. Wheeler's able to take the lead. 20-14, just like that. Punch, counter punch, and the Bearcats back out on top. We'll see if they go for 2 or kick the extra point. But just like that, we've seen Klimzek again with his second touchdown pass of the game. And this Bearcat offense is humming. Point after try from Vetikal. He puts it up. He puts it through 21-14. Wheeler out on top. They've struck for 3 scores here in quarter number 2. And what has just been a dominant second quarter, to say the least, a dominant game offensively for Wheeler. And they just feel like they're a step ahead of Kankakee Valley's defense, at least at this rate, Byron. And you got to feel like if you're the Kankakee Valley Cougars, you got to answer offensively here as we're kind of winding down here in quarter number 2.
Yep. Kankakee Valley has got to get after Wheeler's quarterback. They got to get more pressure on the QB, and receivers are just running wide open. Their secondary needs to do better. Their defensive line needs to do better. They got to get pressure on the quarterback. They just overall have to be better. They got to tackle better in space as well, because some of the plays from Kankakee's running backs, they've been running outside and inside, and tackling just has not been that great.
And they really need to shift it up and change it up here. They still do have some time to play with. A little under 3 minutes to go here in quarter number 2. So even though the Wheeler Bearcats do get the ball to start quarter number 3, there is enough time. And we have seen Kankakee Valley air it out on their offensive side, just not quite to the same degree as Wheeler. So it's going to be interesting to see if Wheeler lets them do that with the way their defense has looked. Before that Marco Castro big, busted play, which led to the Cougar touchdown, the Wheeler defense was stout. Just that opening touchdown for Kankakee Valley, and then eventually the Castro score, which was more just a phenomenal run on Castro's part. So now Wheeler, if they're able to get a stop here and maybe even get the ball back, you could be looking at a game where they really take control, but still pretty early to go here in this game, and still some time left here in quarter number 2. As one of the Upmen takes it and slides down at the 35-yard line, Edward Ritchie, the linebacker. So that's where Kankakee Valley will take shape here on offense with about 2:45 left to play here in quarter number 2, just before halftime. Valparaiso, Indiana. Wheeler with their home opener here in the 2024 campaign. They were 6-4 a season ago, 4-0 in the Greater South Shore Conference. Kankakee Valley 5-6. They were 2-4 in the Northwest Crossroads Conference. Diego Arroyo and company setting up shop here in this second quarter. Receivers out wide to the right and to the left. Marco Castro has a touchdown already in this game, and he's going to get the tote again, looking for something to develop, and it's thrown to the ground at about the 37-yard line. We have seen, other than that big run, we've seen Wheeler keep him in check, obviously much better, than Rensselaer Central did last week. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 336 yards. Obviously, that's not quite a repeatable pace as Arroyo airs it out, looking for someone on that far sideline, and nothing develops. So we have seen this Wheeler defense come out and come to play, and Byron have really looked strong other than a few miscues here in this game.
Yeah, Willis played a pretty solid game defensively. They've given up some plays here and there, but it's been solid overall. But Kankakee Valley is going to be looking to their running back to make some more plays, maybe in the pass game, other than just the run game in itself.
Arroyo fakes to Castro now. The pressure comes. He's going to set up a screen to Castro, who slips up at the 49-yard line and gets just enough for first down yardage. So a bit of an awkward-looking play from Kankakee Valley, but they set up the screen. Wheeler came for the quarterback Arroyo, but he was able to hang in and find his man, and they're taking it right near that big orange W at midfield, still in their own territory at their own 48, but matriculating the ball down the field. Still some time left to be played here in this second quarter. They could really turn something around here. Arroyo fakes, looking, pressure comes, has to escape, and gets thrown down. The ball is out, and it's picked up by Wheeler. But I believe they're going to rule that Arroyo was down, as that could have been an even bigger play, but a phenomenal stop there by big number 78, Dylan Nizevich. As the pressure just collapsed, the offensive line for Kankakee Valley, which has been pretty strong here tonight, it's given Arroyo some time to make decisions, and Castro has also ran the football well in this game, but boy, that could have been disaster. They just avoid disaster on that play. Now a timeout is called by Kirk Kennedy, so he's going to want to talk things over, and we're going to get a brief timeout here in this second quarter. 21-14, Wheeler on top by 7. Tom Hill, Byron, Terry, Josh Regan will be back after this on Regan Corner Sports Network.
We love home
and
internet
Region
from
Sports
T-Mobile.
Network.
Oh, now Mesh boosts Wi-Fi all over your home. Taking a class in your lab.
Back to the action, 21-14 here in quarter number 2. Wheeler with a 7-point lead. Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Josh Regan, our producer in Valparaiso, Indiana. Wheeler has been stout offensively. Caleb Klimchek has 2 passing touchdowns. Jaden Ortiz, the running back, has a touchdown carry himself as a pass flanked out wide to the left. So Kankakee Valley able to take it into plus territory. And now they're going to go in a bit of hurry up to try to just get something going. Pass hauled in by Uchman. He had the touchdown reception earlier in this game. Now 2 receivers in bunch formation out wide to the right. The back is Castro. Arroyo rolling right. Tried to set up a pitch, but he's just going to take it himself right up to the line to gain at about the 43-yard line. And we have a Wheeler Bearcat down on the field and slow to get up. Bodies flying. It's nearing halftime in this game, but he appears to be all right. And we'll see as time kind of dwindles down for Kankakee Valley here in this first half. what can they muster up here offensively? And they have looked pretty good on some offensive drives, but then there have been some where Wheeler has just been a bit ahead, and something that we have to be cognizant of as we get further in this game. Wheeler will get the ball to start quarter number 3. But Kankakee Valley looking to turn this possession into something here in quarter number 2. A little over a minute to play. Receiver flanked out wide to the right. Arroyo the snap, looking to air it out down the far sideline, and a wide open grab and shoved out of bounds at the 9-yard line, but the ball pops free. But I believe they're going to say he was down, and he was. So a big play that time by Kankakee Valley, and they're able to get this one just inside the 10. And that's how you answer on your offensive possession. You know, an offensive team in Kankakee Valley that scored 23 points last week, and on the doorsteps of tying this one here in this second quarter, you know, you got to move, and you move there. That's how you answer, Byron.
Absolutely. That's a good way to come back making big plays. That's what they need. They need to make a lot of big plays, and they need to execute offensively.
Now with the ball set up at the 7-yard line, you know, you can do so many things. It opens up the door for Marco Castro, who had 3 touchdowns last week and almost 400 yards. He had a touchdown earlier in this quarter, which tied us at 14 at that point. Now with Kankakee Valley down 21-14, they have a chance to answer here. And timeout is called by Wheeler, so they want to talk things over. With a little under a minute to play here in quarter number 2, just before halftime. Wheeler with a 21-14 lead, nursing it, as Kankakee Valley is threatening with the ball inside the 10 and a chance to answer. And, you know, Byron, we've seen both offenses have really, you know, aired it out down the field just on that big play from Arroyo and the Cougars, you know, finding the open man. We've seen Klimzek, the quarterback for Wheeler. He has had a lot of time to throw the football. And, you know, this is something that bodes well for both teams as we kind of move along past halftime. Still a little bit to go here in this first half. But, you know, if you just are one-dimensional, and sometimes you see that with teams who run the football a lot, you know, it can make your offense stagnant. But if you're able to kind of do both things, throw and pass, it gives you so much more liberty as an offense and so much more liberty as a coach in instilling confidence in his players. Ball at about the 7. 1st and goal for Kankakee Valley. A big play down the left sideline. 2 receivers out wide to the left. The give is to Castro. He's going to go right into the end zone for the Cougar touchdown. Marco Castro, his 2nd touchdown of the game. And they're within a point after from tying us at 21. A stellar offensive drive from the Kankakee Valley Cougars. And a team that had a 7-0 lead, then trailed 14-7 and 21-14. This offense is just not going away. And they're going to set up a point after to try to tie us at 21. The kick is up, the kick is through, and 21-21, we are all squared away with about under a minute to play here in the second half, or the second quarter, rather. So we'll see what happens from both squads in what's been a phenomenal game, to say the least. Both offenses have really gone back and forth. Caleb Klimzek, for Wheeler has 2 touchdown passes. Jaden Ortiz has a touchdown run on the ground. And then on the Kankakee Valley side, you know, Diego Arroyo had that big touchdown to Adrian Uckman. And then the star running back of Marco Castro has 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. So, Byron, this has really been a back and forth game, to say the least, between these 2 squads.
Yep, sure has been, Tom. It's been a really good game between both teams, back and forth, and it's basically looking like who's going to break first, who's going to crack down first. what my coach told us, back in high school football, you just got to keep chopping wood and keep chopping wood, and eventually that tree will fall. So, which one of these trees is going to fall this game?
Yeah, that is a perfect analogy to use in a game like this where we have seen both teams really go back and forth. And we did see a little pocket there in that early in that second quarter where we felt like up 14-7 with Wheeler on offense. You thought maybe there was a way in which they could drive down the field and score, but Kankakee Valley was able to hold, which led to a punt. And that's why we are tied now at 21-21. Good kickoff up at the 5-yard line. But the return man looking for something to develop. He gets it up to the 20-yard line. Not a lot of time to work with for this Wheeler offense. So we'll see what happens here. You're just tuned in. Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. 21-21 between the Kankakee Valley Cougars and the Wheeler Bearcats here in Valparaiso, Indiana, the home of Wheeler. Their home opener here in 2024. Game 2 between both of these squads. Kankakee Valley 1-0, Wheeler 0-1. Two receivers out wide to the left of the quarterback, Klimzek. They put Welsh in motion, which we've seen a lot in this game. And the give goes to the back Ortiz. He's had a touchdown already in this game. And still not down just yet. The legs churning up to about the 24-yard line. So we'll see. Wheeler appears to be playing this just a bit conservatively because you don't want to make a mistake, but the likelihood of scoring, with very little time to play with here in the second quarter is very slim. So we'll see what the game plan is from that Bearcat offense. As both teams will just head to the sideline here. And what's a tie game at 21-21 here in the first half. And it appears like that'll do it here in the first half, here in Wheeler, with the game tied at 21 apiece. We have seen both offenses really come out and show out. And the home Wheeler Bearcats looking to take this momentum and maybe use their home crowd as a 12th man, if you will, to try to win this one. But both teams have really looked strong. Caleb Klimzek with 2 passing touchdowns in the first half. And the running back Marco Castro for the Kankakee Valley Cougars has 2 touchdown runs as well. He had the big play, which tied us at 14. He had another touchdown after that. It has been back and forth from these two squads as the marching band appears to be ready to take their performance onto the field, which ensues halftime here in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Have you checked out Centier Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Centier Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit centier.com/studentchecking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Centier student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Centier checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
We love home internet from T-Mobile. Now Mesh boosts Wi-Fi all over your home. Taking a class in your attic, that dead spot is gone. Stream ballet in your man cave, learn to paint on your lawn.
He's glorious.
And now on the road, you can take T-Mobile Wi-Fi with you. Hey, stay connected and watch what you'll do.
Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso is a leader in athletics apparel and equipment sales. With in-house production including screen printing, trophies, embroidery, and more, Blythe's can help you to create the perfect look. For more information, visit them online at teamblythes.com. Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso, where the athletes shop.
Network, and this is another episode of the 100-Yard Walk, where we progress down the field and we just ask any football personalities a couple questions. Coach, I'm here with Coach Nick Testa at Wheeler High School. Coach, how are we doing today?
Good. Yeah, thanks for coming out and checking things out, and glad to have you guys here.
Of course. So we were talking a little bit before this, but we're already kind of a little bit in the off season. We're going to kind of highlight what we're doing now. Talk to me. You guys just had a little bit of spring install, a little bit of workout. Talk to me about where this team is at in the off season progress.
Yeah, we're in a good spot right now. A lot of our, being a small school, a lot of our kids are in other sports. So we've got a bunch of kids in track, a bunch of kids in baseball. So our kids are always doing something, but it's a good opportunity to get the young guys out here and kind of give them an introduction to our schemes and how we do things. So it's good. We're getting a good turnout for early on.
And then for your second season under your, now going to be your second season here at Wheeler, that first season, again, 6-4, we're going to highlight that a little bit. Talk to me about how that first season was here at Wheeler and kind of how is it different for you as a coach going into your second season, if it is at all?
I don't really think there's going to be much of a difference. We'll have more of a target on our back, having won our conference. It really started with the kids. The kids wanted to change. They wanted.
Have you checked out Send to Your Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Send to Your Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit sendtoyour.com/student-checking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Send to Your student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Send to Your checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
Flip the switch, a light turns on. Press the button, machines and instruments come to life. Touch the screen, communicate with the world. Simple tasks, guaranteed results, every second of every day. That's the power of power. And that's the power brought to you by the NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 531.
Credit Union One, the official banking partner of Notre Dame Athletics, wants to reward you for everyday banking. CU1's high-yield checking offers the opportunity to earn up to 5.25% APY when you make qualifying transactions each month. No monthly fees and no minimum or opening balance required. Plus, you'll be able to bank anytime and anywhere with 24/7 digital and mobile banking. Start making more of your money with Credit Union One. Open an account at cu1.com/high-yield checking.
Sports Network here on Regan Sports Network. Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Game tied 21-21 between these two squads. And, Byron, this team and something you said, and I really wanted to highlight it here is, which team, in your analogy, is which team can cut down the tree. And, we've seen a game of runs between both teams offensively, and it feels like no team defensively has been able to really get that key stop and then led to a touchdown to go up 2 scores. And we've seen big plays. We've seen chunk plays. We've seen, both teams matriculate the ball down the field. We haven't really seen both teams completely utilize the run. We do see that sometimes at the high school level, but just take me through what you expect the second half to be between two tightly knit teams that kind of play a similar brand of football.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the second half, I expect for it to be a lot of back and forth between both teams, like it was in the first half. A lot of mixing it up, a lot of run plays, a lot of pass plays. But these defenses have to do better. Both teams' defenses have to do better. They have to get off the field. They've been on the field way too long, and these offenses on both teams have been dominating each other's defenses.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And some of the players to note, Caleb Klimzek, the quarterback for Wheeler, he has been very stout. A season ago, he had 1767 yards through the air and 19 touchdowns. He has 2 touchdown passes here tonight. One of them to Tyne Vettel, the junior receiver, who Nick Testa said, someone to look for in this season. He was very productive a year ago with almost 500 yards. And then on the Kankakee Valley side, Marco Castro is somebody that we really went over on the pregame portion, and 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, 9.9 yards per carry a week ago against Rensselaer Central in that big win. And here tonight, he had that big play, which led to a touchdown. He has 2 touchdowns on the night. And, it really is going to boil down to the momentum. And if you're a believer in momentum, which I personally am in sports, it's going to be who can score, Byron, to your point, and then who could take that scoring and then also create defensive momentum, whether it be a stop or a turnover. We haven't seen either team turn the ball over just yet. So it's going to be interesting to see which team will be a little bit more advanced in that regard, and which team has more turnovers, and the team that also utilizes those turnovers will come out on top. But we really have been treated to a phenomenal game of football so far here in the first half.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's go over the first half a little bit. So for Kankakee Valley, offensively, they mixed it up, a lot of run plays, a lot of pass plays. They weren't relying so heavily on their run game, because they do have a great run game with a great running back. I think they've done a good job with that. So they've had some missed opportunities, though, throughout the game, especially with some drop passes from the receivers. But as the game went along, they did pick it up with their run game. But defensively, they had a decent start, but they gave up some big plays here and there, so they really had to tighten that up. And for Wheeler, offensively, they had a really good start, a lot of RPOs, or run pass option plays, as they're called. And the receivers have had a lot of yards after the catch and just making some really big plays. Defensively for Wheeler, they had a slow start, but they got better as the game went along, but they have struggled against Kankakee Valley's run game. But I do want to make a note of one thing for both of these teams and both of their offenses is these receivers are getting open like crazy. Like, these receivers on both teams are getting open. I feel like it's me playing out there. Like, these receivers are getting open like I would. So it's been very interesting from these offenses.
Yeah, we're going to see if there's a game plan shift in that regard, especially on the Wheeler side offensively, because, to the point I made, Klimchik has been very productive in this game throwing the football. And, it can't really shock you when you see them throwing now, especially at the rate that they did in that first half. So it's going to be, a chore for this Kankakee Valley defensive front. And it's really going to be a battle test for either team on the defensive side. And to your point that you've made, it's, which defense is going to come out on top, and also which defense can kind of neutralize the receivers, because with these 2-pronged offenses that we've seen, if you do shut down the receivers, both teams have very good running backs. And we've seen that firsthand here tonight from Marco Castro on the Kankakee Valley squad. He has 2 touchdowns. He had almost 400 yards last week to the tune of 3 touchdowns. So it's going to be interesting. Third quarter appears to be shaping up right in a bit. In a 21-21 tie game here in Valparaiso, Indiana, the home of the Wheeler Bearcats. And, Wheeler looking to win for the first time here in 2024, a team that went 6-4 with Nick Testa a year ago. They were 4-0 in the Greater South Shore Conference. So, this is a team that has winning aspirations, and I feel like that offensively, Byron, they have kind of let Kankakee Valley off the hook just a bit in that first half. But if they keep their foot on the gas here in this second half, it could be a completely different game.
Yep, they got to play defense. Both defenses have to play defense, and they got to get off the field. For Wheeler, it's about shutting down Kankakee Valley's run game. Don't give up big plays offensively, passing the ball. And for Kankakee Valley, it's shutting down Wheeler's passing game and really getting after their quarterback.
Kankakee Valley received the ball to start the game, so they will kick it off to Wheeler to start this second half. And the second half is underway here in Valparaiso, Indiana. 21-21, both teams have scored 3 touchdowns. The return man takes it up to about the 28-yard line, so that's where Caleb Klimczek and the Wheeler Bearcat offense will take shape. So we've seen him air the ball out. This is a guy who had 184 attempts last year for 1767 yards. Also had 19 touchdown passes. He has 2 here tonight in game 2. Home opener for the Wheeler Bearcats. They're coming off a 41-21 loss. Kankakee Valley coming off a 23-0 win. We've seen Kankakee Valley with a 7-0 lead, but then we saw Wheeler go up 14-7 and 21-14, but Kankakee Valley able to answer, which is why the score 21-21. As the give right away goes to the back end Ortiz. We've seen him with the touchdown in this game. It's tripped up at about the 33-yard line. It's a game of momentum is football, and which team can really seize momentum. There were a few times in that first half, namely the second quarter, where it looked like Wheeler was a couple of plays away from, maybe seizing that momentum to my point, but they were able to keep the Cougars hanging around just a bit. Now the give to Ortiz, he's tripped up at about the 41-yard line, so just past the line to gain here on offense. And that'll move the sticks for the Bearcats. Bearcats had 17 first downs last week in their 20-point loss. But they have moved the ball a lot better, Byron, here in this game. And a lot of that has to do with their fact that they have a quarterback who can really sling the rock.
Yep, for sure. Having a quarterback that can really throw the ball, a gunslinger, as people say, is a really good thing for an offense, and it opens up so much for the offense to do.
The give goes to Ortiz, who bounces it left. But the reinforcements come in immediately on the play by Kankakee Valley, and this is what you need if you're an offense too. Just matriculate the ball down the field and try to churn on that clock. Just getting set here in the third quarter, second half, ball at about the 44-yard line. We have seen Wheeler get into the red zone a lot in this game. And they've been on the plus side of the field a lot as well. Comes the keeper, bootleg, rolling right, and finding an open receiver on the right side of the field. And he gets tripped up at about the 48-yard line. So a good open field tackle by a Cougar defender. But again, more yardage for Wheeler. At about the 48-yard line, maybe 47 and a half. Caleb Klimczek, the senior, to my point, had 19 touchdowns a year ago. He has 2 touchdown passes so far here tonight. We've seen Bryce Compton involved, Tyne Vedekal, who was second on the team in yards and touchdowns last year. He has a touchdown reception. The give goes to Ortiz with a man on his back. He takes it right up near the line to gain, but I believe he's just shy. So a good tackle by the Cougars. On the stop, Brady Sampson. And we're going to see what happens here right at that midfield. 2 receivers out wide to the right. Welch, the motion man, ranging right to left. The receiver flanked out wide to the left. I believe a timeout is called by Nick Testa. He wants to talk things over with his squad. Just underway here in quarter number 3. A game dominated by the offenses. And, if you're just tuned in, Kankakee Valley took their opening possession and scored 7, and then Wheeler was able to answer with 7 of their own, or 6 of their own, rather. But then a big play from Klimzek to Tyne Vedekball for the touchdown. They went for 2, got it, up 14-7. And Marco Castro with a big play for a touchdown. Eventually, that tied us at 14. Wheeler took the lead 21-14, but Kankakee Valley able to set up a big play, which led to Castro's second touchdown of the night. And that's where we stand, just underway here in the third quarter. 21-21 the score. And it's going to be interesting to see if they get a stop. Does Kankakee Valley, or will Wheeler keep this drive moving? Klimzek, the snap, the give goes to Ortiz. And I don't believe he got it. And I don't think he did. Stuffed at the line of scrimmage right at midfield. A phenomenal stout stop from this Cougar front. And they'll take over on offense. Boy, Byron, that's exactly what you need coming out of the break.
Absolutely, absolutely. Making big plays, big play after big play.
And now with the game tied, it makes that threat of Marco Castro, who has been so productive for this Kankakee Valley squad, even more of an arduous task for this Bearcat defense to prevent, or at least try to neutralize. He gets a snap right on cue, bouncing it up the far sideline, and he got some blockers, and he's going to stay on his feet and be spun down at the 16-yard line. Another big play from Marco Castro. He has been everywhere tonight. We saw him on a big play earlier in this game. Peeled off a huge run of 50-plus for a touchdown. That came back in the second quarter, and now a 21-21 game here in quarter number 3. And after a defensive stop, a big-time play, and a chance for the Cougars to strike. The give goes to Castro again, bounces it left. This time, Wheeler's able to make the stuff and the stop at about the 17-yard line. We'd like to see, he traditionally likes to run what appears to be, bouncing it on the outside. He kind of has a stockier frame, does Castro, and more of a bruising running back, but he has the speed and the burst to accelerate in open space, and that's so tough for a team to stop. Now Arroyo the snap, the give to Castro again, looking for something to develop, and it does, and he's tripped up at about the 5-yard line. In on the stop, Marcus Driver, but we've seen this Kankakee Valley team, now really lean on their back in Castro, and it has been big. And after the defensive stop on Wheeler's opening drive in this third quarter, a chance for the Cougars to take the lead, a game that they once trailed 14-7 and 21-14. Now at 21-21, 2 men in the backfield next to the quarterback, Arroyo. This time the give will go to somebody different in Nolan Puistra, and he is in for the Cougar touchdown. A stop and a score, and the Cougars take the lead, pending the extra point. Ball control football for this Kankakee Valley squad. And they just shove it right down the throat of this Wheeler team. A lot of that set up by Marco Castro, but finished off by the junior Nolan Puistra. And now pending the point after. Good snap, good hold. The kick is up. It is through. So 28-21, a 7-point lead for Kankakee Valley. And Byron, boy, what a turn of events here in this third quarter, because it looked like Wheeler has had a lot of momentum in this game, but Kankakee Valley got the stop on their first defensive possession and then just took the ball right down the field and able to score a touchdown of their own and really just running the football down the field and picking up those tough yardage. Obviously, Marco Castro set it up for Nolan Quistra, but you got to feel really happy just on how you looked on both sides and how it sets yourself up here in this third quarter and then moving along.
Yep, I agree with that. Just like I was saying during halftime, whose defense is going to make a stop? Kankakee Valley's defense made a stop. They got the offense back on the field. The offense was very productive for Kankakee Valley, and they scored a touchdown. So they just got to keep it rolling. Like I was saying before, who's going to break? Chopping wood, and chopping wood. Somebody's going to have to crack eventually, and Wheeler did on that drive. So it'll be interesting to see how they come back and respond.
Kankakee Valley appears to be ready to send this one away. And they will. Good kickoff to about the 5-yard line. But some space on the near side of the field and more space. And now a phenomenal cut by Vetikal, who takes it up to about the 36-yard line. So the return man who had a touchdown earlier in this game with a good return, setting up Klimczuk and company in decent field position to start this offensive possession and what is now a big offensive possession. Because, Byron, last week you lost 41-21. Your defense gave up 41 points. Tonight they've given up 28. So you don't want to have that settle in where, here we go again. And it appears to be, it's still early in this game, but you got to really move offensively in a game that you led at different points by 7, but now trailing by 7 at 28-21. Second offensive possession here in this second half. The jet sweep goes on the right side of the field to Vetikal, and he gets stopped immediately there. So a nice defensive presence from Kankakee Valley, who has been stout and much better, much stronger defensively in this second half, at least in the first portion of this second half, Byron. And you brought that up on the halftime as well as on pregame. It's going to be the team that has the better defense is in all likelihood going to come out with a victory in this one. And Kankakee Valley has really looked strong.
Yeah, they have for sure. I think Kankakee Valley's come out and they've responded pretty well. They responded pretty well to sort of how they played in the first half and some of the mistakes that they made, but they've come out swinging in the second half.
And now Klimczuk will go down. Phenomenal stop from Jaden Anderson and Gavin Joy, bringing him to the ground, a big-time loss. And it puts this Wheeler offense back at the 26-yard line. So there has been a lot of times today where Klimczuk has had time to throw the football, not right there, as the pressure just came in on this Wheeler offensive line. And, just time crunching down here in this third quarter. You got to figure the momentum is really on the Cougars' side, the visiting team here in this game. Klimczuk bootleg, rolling left, looking for a receiver to open up, and they do not. It's defended phenomenally by the Kankakee Valley squad. And this is going to set up a punt. So the Wheeler offensive possession goes nowhere. After the big sack from Joy and Anderson. And this is what you need if you're Kankakee Valley, because then now you can set up your offensive drive and try to go up 2 scores. And if you're Wheeler, now you really need a stop as time moving down. Punt is up, and it takes a Kankakee Valley bounce up at the 48-yard line. So they're going to set up shop at about midfield. Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. And something that, we have seen in this game is, that first half was a game of runs where it was punch, counter punch. We saw Kankakee Valley up 7-0. Then Wheeler answer with a touchdown of their own. And then it was another touchdown from Wheeler. Then Kankakee Valley answered. And it was, a game of strike and strike back. And now it feels like this road team and the Kankakee Valley Cougars, who had a dominant 23-0 win last week, and they have appeared to have the leg up here in this third quarter on the road. Now ball at the 48-yard line. And I believe a timeout is called by Wheeler. So they're going to want to talk things over with a defensive unit that has been reeling in this game. They gave up 41 points last week on the road against Hanover Central. So, Byron, this is something, it goes without saying. I can't stress this enough. If you're Wheeler, you really need to stop in this game. And, this feels to me like a turning point in this game where Kankakee Valley is able to churn some of the time off the clock and also run the football with the big running back of Castro. You got to figure it could get late early for Wheeler.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's looking like. It looks like Wheeler's defense is wearing down, but they got to get a stop and they got to tackle better, especially on the perimeter. Kankakee Valley's running back is just, wearing them down. They got to do a better job of tackling.
The give goes to Castro, bounces right, sheds one tackle, sheds another, somehow finds a way to turn that into positive yardage. And that's just the strong running that we have seen, brought down by Anthony Leone, the defensive tackle for Wheeler. But, we have seen him, Castro, 336 yards a week ago against Rensselaer Central. He had 3 touchdowns, 34 carries. So when you get that volume, that efficiency, and that type of production, it just spells, a very stressful time for the defense that he's facing to try to stop him. And, it could be a very tough game as the ball is loose. It's out. Castro tries to pick it up. Wheeler thinks they have it. And it's deep in the scrum. We're going to see who ends up with the ball, and Wheeler will take over. A big, costly turnover from Kankakee Valley, and the Bearcats will take over offensively. It's exactly what the doctor ordered if you're the Wheeler Bearcats, and something I said on the halftime, which team is going to get a turnover? We didn't see one up until that point as Arroyo bobbled the snap. Castro tried to pick it up, but he could not. And the ball was just floating around. And when it's floating around, anyone could grab it. And an orange jersey hopped on it, and the Bearcats will take over. And that's big. That's big, especially with the way Wheeler has kind of looked a bit out of sorts offensively on their first 2 drives here in this third quarter. They'll set up shop at midfield, down 28-21. In a game that, looked like they had a lot of control in that first half, looking to bring that control back on their side here in the second half. Jaden Ortiz has had a big night. Caleb Klimchak has as well. Klimchak, the keeper, looking for a receiver and open and hauling it in and getting thrown to the ground at the 37-yard line is Vetical. So a big-time play there and a big-time pitch and catch from those two, something that we have seen all game long. And this is where it can set up a big play. And, we have seen Wheeler in the red zone a lot here tonight. So not a foreign spot for them. And we've seen them airing out with Klimczak. Had 19 touchdowns a year ago for this Bearcat squad. En route to a 6-4 record. Low snap. Ortiz picks up a blitz. Pass downfield, and it's hauled in. Wide open was Compton, who gets thrown to the ground at the 7-yard line. Another big pitch and catch for this Bearcat squad. And just like that, they're inside the 10. Byron, this is exactly what they needed.
Yeah, absolutely. They needed a big play, and they sure got it offensively, throwing the ball very well and getting open. The receivers have been getting open all game.
A chance to tie it here, just under 3 minutes to play here in quarter number 3. Ortiz the back, Welch the motion man. We've seen that a lot tonight. 3 receivers out in the formation. The give goes to Ortiz. He initially escapes 1 tackler, but then gets thrown down by another set of tacklers. Finishing off the play, Aiden Fuqua in on the stop. So that'll bring up 2nd down. We've seen this Bearcat squad now is airing it out, has ran the football. Jaden Ortiz with the touchdown. Ty Vetical with a touchdown as well. It's going to set up now 2nd down and 6. And the clock ticking down at the 2:20 mark here in quarter number 3. Looked like a zone look from Kankakee Valley. Back right corner of the end zone, and it's dropped incomplete by Compton. Boy, that would have tied us. We saw another close play from Bryce Compton earlier in this game working on that same sideline. But the coverage just tight enough. The Cougars able to get away with one there. So Wheeler has to do it again. 3rd down. At the 8-yard line are the Bearcats. 28-21 they trail. Ortiz the back. Klimczek the snap. Rolling right. Wide open and hauling it in. And as he get into the end zone, he's tripped up at about the 1-yard line. But a phenomenal catch made there in space by Welch. And this is going to set up a pivotal play for the Bearcats. It'll set up a 4th down. You've seen Welch with a big play earlier in this game back in the first quarter. The sophomore who had over 100 yards last year. 100 season yards, that is. So he has been a focal point here tonight. Do or die here on this possession for the Bearcats. Klimczek, the snap. He's going to look right, looking into the end zone. And it is intercepted. A takeaway from Kankakee Valley. Boy, punch, counter punch now on the defensive end. And that's exactly what you need if you're the Cougars, who have been very stout here on the defensive front. A takeaway, and they'll set up shop. But now after that takeaway, they're going to be set up, pinned inside their own zone. So they have to try to get this out. But with a guy like Castro, it might be a little bit easier to do that. And right on cue, just churning the legs forward up to the 15-yard line. And this is where having a back like Marco Castro, and we have seen Nolan Kuistra have a touchdown as well in this game. Now, this is where this game can get very, very quick for this Wheeler team, and it can be very tough for them to try to come back in this game, to try to put together a comeback. Still only down 7, but that recent pick from Klimczek could go a long ways. We've seen Diego Arroyo, the quarterback from Kankakee Valley. He's been a bit quiet so far in this second half because a lot of the offensive productivity from the Cougars has been on the ground with Castro, who Byron and I highlighted in our pregame at 336 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns a week ago at home against Rensselaer Central in their first game. Little over a minute to play here in quarter number 3. And that's going to be costly as a penalty from Wheeler. Now the give goes to Castro. He's going to bounce it out to the far sideline. And this one's stuffed up pretty quickly. Just a modest gain there up to about the 27-yard line, 28. And Byron, take me through that as someone who played. How demoralizing can it be when you're facing a team already trailing and they have a strong running game?
It's really tough. It's really tough because then it puts a lot of pressure on you to get them off the field. But if they just keep on churning and churning and churning and doing well with their run game, for a defense is really hard. It's really hard to really move past that and sort of, bounce back from that.
The give goes to Castro, but this time Wheeler plays him well again up to about the 30-yard line. Dwindling down here in quarter number 3, a quarter dominated by the road team, the Kankakee Valley Cougars. It was tied 21-21. It was high flying offensively in that first half, but just 7 points from both teams in this third quarter. And Wheeler's offense has kind of grounded to a halt, in large part to the Cougar defensive front. Just had a turnover from the pick on their last defensive drive, and now Castro's going to bounce it out to the far sideline and throws a stiff arm as he gets thrown to the ground at the 50-yard line. So strong running will move the sticks again for the Cougars. Boy, have a night, Marco Castro. Just so tough to bring down or hem in. (28-21) the score, but Kankakee Valley is on the precipice as they're moving the ball down the field to strike again. And to my point that I've been saying all broadcast long, really make it a shorter game, if you will. Because Wheeler has not really looked as comfortable offensively in this quarter as they had in the first two. And it can be tough trailing, but one of the things that's working in the Bearcats' favor is the fact that they have really aired the football down the field with their quarterback, Caleb Klimzak. He has 2 touchdown passes. Jaden Ortiz, the running back, has a touchdown carry. So they are also a multifaceted offense that can strike. And we have seen even on that drive where Klimzak threw the costly pick, they were driving. They were inside the red zone, actually inside the 10-yard line after 2 big plays to both Vetico and Compton. But Kankakee Valley was able to make the defensive stop, come away with the pick, and now driving on offense as the third quarter appears to be winding down. And we're going to set up shop in quarter number 4, 12 minutes left to play. Kankakee Valley with a 28-21 lead on the road against the Wheeler Bearcats. Tom Hill, Byron Terry, Josh Regan here on the call. The road Cougars looking to steal a win here in Valparaiso, Indiana. Fourth quarter of action coming up. It's been a game of runs in the first half, punch, counter punch, if you will. Kankakee Valley had an early 7-0 lead after Diego Arroyo found Adrian Uchman wide open, streaking off the field. He went in for 6. They put in the extra point. Then Wheeler answered on their initial drive with 6 of their own to make it 7-6. They then scored 8, made it 14-7. Kankakee Valley responded, which tied us. Then Wheeler with a touchdown, Kankakee Valley with a touchdown, and then Kankakee Valley has really had the leg up here in this third quarter, and it starts off the fourth quarter the same way as this second half has been going. Marco Castro up into plus territory at the 40-yard line. Just so tough to stop, and he can really, flip this game upside down and stretch that lead for the Cougars. And Byron, another thing, with a lot of these players playing both sides of the ball, it could be a very daunting task to try to stop him, when he's carrying in between the tackles. 2 receivers out wide, 1 to the left, 1 to the right. We have seen Arroyo throw the ball a bit in this game. A lot of that came early, but the way Castro has looked on the ground, he really hasn't needed to. This one's up to the 36-yard line. But the reinforcements come in for Wheeler. And a flag also flies in on the field. David Linlow making the tackle. Just about a minute gone here in quarter number 4. And a holding call is called on Kankakee Valley. So Wheeler might get a measure of revenge here if they're able to get a defensive stop on this drive. Second down and about 10 to go for the Cougars offensively. At midfield, Arroyo now back to throw. Pressure comes. Arroyo looking, and the pass is hauled in at about the 42-yard line. So they're able to get a lot of that yardage back. It's hauled in by Jaden Anderson. And it's going to set up 3rd down and short for a Kankakee Valley offense that has really been great so far in this game. They only scored 23 points in their win last week, but were able to win 23-0. Obviously, a lot of that on the backs of their stellar defense, pitching a shutout against Rensselaer Central. Arroyo the snap, looking right, scrambling. Now he's going to take off. Diego Arroyo can use his legs, gets by one guy and gets thrown to the ground by another. But another big-time pickup by the Cougars offense, this time by Arroyo, who's using his legs and moving forward. He had 70 carries for 59 yards last year and 3 touchdowns himself on the ground. So that could be something to also watch out for. That looked to be, though, more of a broken play. But now a flag flies in again and a costly penalty on Kankakee Valley. And Byron, you can't have this. We've seen it a little bit with Wheeler in the first half, but now here with the Cougars in the second half, those costly penalties can really come back to bite you.
Yes, they sure can. Like I was saying before, you got to be better executing on offense, and you got to be better executing on defense as well. But you can't have simple mental errors like that, such as offsides penalties, holding, and things like that. So it's been kind of sloppy on offense because of all those penalties. But they got to do better with that.
Now Arroyo the snap is trying to air it out down the field, and it's dropped by his intended target. Boy, they really could have pushed the ball down the field on that one if they connected, but just unable to haul it in. And that could be costly here in this game. Now Castro the back. They'll look to do it again here on 3rd down. Now not in plus territory at about the 48. Arroyo the snap. Pressure comes. Now he's going to pitch it out to the right for Castro, but Wheeler was able to stretch that play out to the sideline, which meant that the ball carrier couldn't take it anywhere. Let's check that. It was Quistra, actually, who got the pitch, but nonetheless, it was not a positive play for the Cougars offensively. So it looks like it's going to set up a punt here from the Cougars. So the Bearcats are able to make a defensive stop. End over end punt. Checks up out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. So that's where Caleb Kumzak and the Wheeler Bearcat offense will take over. Just underway here in quarter number 4, about 9:29 to go. 28-21, the Bearcats trail. They were stymied offensively, to say the least, back in quarter number 3. Klimzek also threw a pick as well, so looking for better fortunes here in quarter number 4. One receiver out wide to the left, 2 out to the right. We've seen both Compton and Vetikal get targeted a lot by Klimzek. You've seen Jaden Ortiz, the running back in the fold. Connor Welch has also been a target as well. The give goes to Ortiz, bounces it right up the middle, gets thrown back at about the 48-yard line. And this is where, you do have some time to work with, Byron, but you got to figure, one more dry offensive possession from this Wheeler team, and it could kind of be the end of the game.
Yep. Wheeler has to make a play. They have to. They got to make a play, and they got to score some points, because if they can't, Kankakee Valley is just going to keep wearing them down.
Welch in motion. He's been the motion man all game long. The give goes to Ortiz again. 2 straight running plays from Wheeler on this possession, and both of them are stopped, just a couple of yards shy of the line to gain. But now in plus territory at about the 48-yard line, just past midfield. Bearcats trail 28-21. coming in 0-1. This is their second game, first home game of the year. Kankakee Valley 1-0. They won last week 23-0, winning here 28-21 in quarter number 4. They put a man in motion. Now a bootleg. We've seen that a lot from this Bearcat squad. Passes hauled in by Vetical, but the reinforcements come in. A strong tackle from Jaden Anderson, the outside linebacker, and Vetical just could not go anywhere. Stopped up at pretty much where the Bearcats were already. And this is where it could be really tough for this offense, an offense that, was humming back in that first half and is kind of grounded to a halt, or been grounded to a halt here in the second half, in large part to that Cougar defensive front. Welch, the man in motion. Klimchik has Ortiz in the backfield. It's a fake. Slant is hit, an incomplete pass intended for Vetical, but another strong stop for this Kankakee Valley defense that has pitched the shutout here in this second half up to this point. And a great alteration there, as it looked like Vetical, there was a lane for Klimchik to fit it in, but the pass was broken up with. And this is going to set up shop for this Kankakee Valley offensive unit to take over, led by stud running back Marco Castro. He has 2 touchdowns on the night. And a chance at more, about halfway gone here in this fourth quarter. The give goes to Castro past midfield. A big pickup into the second level. Will be thrown out of bounds at the 28-yard line. But a phenomenal run by Castro. Stopped by C.J. Schaefer. But we have seen strong running a lot in this game. And that is where a lot of your yardage comes, especially at this portion of the game. But looks to be what we saw a lot on that last Kankakee Valley offensive possession. A penalty will push them back, a costly penalty, which you just can't have. And it makes it tough for this team to try to get anything going at an offensive rate. A team that's only scored 23 last week in the win, but they have 28 here tonight and a chance at more. Arroyo, the snap, the give goes to Castro. He's going to take it right up the gut. Castro past midfield, breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, and he is gone with one man to beat. Marco Castro is stopped at the 1-yard line, just stopped short of 6 points, and he almost had the hat trick. His third touchdown of the night. Will have to wait maybe just a couple more plays. Good open field tackle from Wheeler, just somehow preventing the score as of now. But Kankakee Valley is set up 1st and goal at the 1-yard line. And how about the night of Marco Castro as having 2 touchdowns on the night already? A chance at more. 2 receivers out wide to the left. Arroyo, high snap. The give goes to Castro. He bulldozes his way into the end zone. And he is in for the score. Marco Castro gets the hat trick, his 3rd touchdown of the night. And pending an extra point, we have a 14-point game. It has just been a complete offensive takeover from Kankakee Valley. And at the 7:02 mark here in quarter number 4, a chance now at 34-21 to go up by 14. A team in the Cougars that at one point trailed 14-7 and 21-14. The point after from Rubalcaba will have to wait. Cougars looking to make this a 14-point game. If you're just tuned in, back and forth, Tom Hill, Byron Terry here on the call. Josh Regan, our producer in Valparaiso, Indiana. Wheeler, the home team in this matchup. Now Rubalcaba will get another try to bang this one through, and he's able to do just that. So 35-21 the score. 14 unanswered in this second half from this Kankakee Valley squad. And, Byron, they have just had the leg up, whether it's offense, defense. They had the pick of Klimzek back in the third quarter. And Marco Castro, boy, he had 3 touchdowns last week. He has 3 touchdowns here this week. He has just been an absolute machine for this Cougar offense. So 35-21 the score. Kankakee Valley with their largest lead of the night. And it's just been a gut punch to this Wheeler squad. A team with an offense that was really humming in this first half, but they have just been hit right in the throat. A lot of that has to do with Marco Castro, the running back of Kankakee Valley, but their defense has forced some turnover on downs. They have the interception as well. And offensively, they've just been doing enough to take the lead. They hung around in that first half, and that's kind of allowed them to now have the lead with a little less than 7 minutes to go here in this fourth quarter. But it is hurry-up mode for Wheeler offensively to try to get back in this game. So 35-21, they'll set up shop. Caleb Klimzek and his offense at about the 25-yard line. And a team that has aired it out, a decent amount in this game. We've seen Ty Vedekal, who a season ago had 4 touchdown receptions. He has a touchdown reception in this game. 6:44 mark here in this fourth quarter. But they got to go. They got to hurry. They have to score. Check that 6:53. They have to try to turn this game around. 3 receivers outflanked to the left. Welsh, the motion man, ranging right to left. Ortiz the back. Klimzek the snap. Looking right. Now throwing right. And he has an open man who breaks a tackle and slips up at about the 35-yard line. Pass hauled in by Vedekal. So they have to go in a bit of a, maybe not necessarily hurry-up mode, but definitely at a quicker pace, now down 2 scores. And with the clock keeps on ticking and ticking down, and what has been a very quick second half, to say the least. The second half dominated by Kankakee Valley on both offense and defense. Klimzek the snap, has time, looks left, throws left, and it's incomplete. Coverage there from Brevin Whaley. As the pass just fell short of the mark. And that'll bring up second down. Seen the Bearcats have some chunk plays in this game, but not at the same rate of Kankakee Valley. And it's just been just a bit off in this game they have been. And that's really been the difference, especially here in this second half. Been a steady diet of throws. Klimzek has time, looks left, now unloads up the far sideline. I believe it's hauled in. They're going to say it is on that far sideline. A phenomenal catch, but a receiver is down. And he will be tended to over on that Kankakee Valley sideline as he took a spill, making the grab and getting it up at the 49-yard line. And we'll check to make sure he is all right. Wheeler now pushing and moving the ball down the field. With about 6 minutes left to play here in this game. The pass was hauled in by David Diaz, who appears to be all right as he's up onto his feet. They'll walk things off. Diaz has had now his second catch of the game. Still some time left for Wheeler to make this a one-score game, and then you got to figure, the onside kick would have to be something in effect. As Diaz, the junior Diaz, got them up to about midfield on that last play. It was a good catch on that far sideline. Good timing throw from Klimchak. 35-21, a little over 6 to play here in this ball game. 49-yard line, their own 49-yard line are the Wheeler Bearcats. Low snap. The give goes to the back, who finds some space and gets tripped up at about the 46-yard line. So they just have to move the ball down the field, now going in hurry-up mode. At about the 47 now in plus territory. The give goes again to Colton Kingery, who bounces it up the far sideline and gets it right near the line to gain at about the 41-yard line. This will move the sticks for Wheeler. Clock keeps on ticking and ticking. So we haven't seen Ortiz in these sets. It's been a lot of Kingery. And we'll see if Klimchak and Wheeler do here with the sticks moved on first down. 5:27 to play. At the 46-yard line, a chance for the Wheeler Bearcats to answer. A lot of time for Klimchak. Now it breaks down, and he is going to get taken down. The Cougars come out with a defensive stop. And a big play there will drop him back to the 47-yard line. As we've seen, this offensive line has protected Klimchak relatively well in the first half, but Kankakee Valley has really gotten there both on the edges and on the interior, or in the interior rather, so far in the second half. If you're just tuned in, it was 21-21 going into the second half, and it has just been a road team onslaught here so far in this second half, but still some time left for Wheeler to do something here. With a little over 5 minutes to play here in quarter number 4, down by 14 at 35-21. It's been a steady diet of passes. Now pressure comes. Klimchak sets up a screen pass, and it's hauled in. And this could be a big play, and it will be, to Tyne Vedekal, who we typically see flanked out as a wide receiver, but he's able to take this one up to the 32-yard line. So a big pickup for Vedekal. Clock still ticking for Wheeler. They're going to sub in Diaz, who took that shot earlier on this possession. He subs in for Cash Kosbade. 2 receivers out wide to the left. Welsh, the motion man. Crouches down right next to the left tackle. Comes like the snap. Looking for his receiver, and it's hauled in inside the 19-yard line. Pass is caught by Diaz. So his second grab on this drive, and the offense moving for Wheeler. And we will see as the offense now moves back towards midfield, so maybe a costly flag on that play, and it is. It's a holding call, so erase the big play to Diaz, and a crucial mistake. In a game you're trailing by 14 with just 4 minutes left to play, every single play is precious. You can't, you have very little margin for error, especially with the score as it is, and this is where it could be very tough for an offense to stay composed, especially with the way the second half has gone. Receiver out wide to the left, one in the slot to the right, and one out wide to the right. Glimpse at the snap. Has a lot of time, is going to air it out downfield. Wide open is Vedekal. He holds it in at the 25 and trips up at the 11-yard line. So the big play that the Bearcats need is now they're going to head up back to the line of scrimmage. And they get a lot of that holding yardage right back and a chance to drive inside the red zone again of Kankakee Valley. This is a Bearcat team that has not scored yet in this second half, but driving here. And there is some time left to where, you're still in this game if you're able to score. Now at 4 to play in the fourth quarter. Comes at the snap, looking left, passes up in the air. But it's batted down and incomplete. So this is going to set up second down after the miscue from the Bearcats. But still some time to play with. Little under 4 minutes to go here in quarter number 4. Kankakee Valley 35, Wheeler 21. It was a back and forth first half. The second half dominated mostly by the men in white. A lot of time for Klimchek. He has his man on a slant, but it's intercepted. Picked off, a costly turnover there. Adrian Uchman gets the pick defensively for Kankakee Valley. The second pick by Klimchek here in this second half. And another defensive stop from these Cougars. They have been absolutely stellar, to say the least. And, they can really wrap a bow on this game, if they're able to just hang on. And, we've seen a couple times in this second half where Wheeler has been driving on Kankakee Valley. And sometimes it's ended in, a turnover on downs or, a big-time interception, as we just saw there from Uchman, who has a touchdown in this game as well. As they run it smartly on first down just to get some tough yardage. Obviously time not in the essence of Kankakee Valley. They're trying to actually just wear this time down and put the finishing touches on a come-from-behind victory, a strong victory would be here on the road in Valparaiso. The game they trailed 14-7 and 21-14. They tied it at 21 just before halftime. And since then, they've outscored Wheeler 14-0 here in this second half. The give goes to Castro again. He has been busy and big time as he takes it up to the 32-yard line. Just matriculate the ball down the field and drain on the clock. Marco Castro had 336 yards last week in the 23-0 win against Rensselaer Central. He has 3 touchdowns here tonight. Nolan Kustra also has a touchdown as well. Early on in this game, we saw Kankakee Valley. They looked to pass, but then ever since Marco Castro really got going in this game, they have leaned on his legs, and it has been really pivotal here tonight. As we are dwindling down here in this game, bit of an awkward snap from Arroyo, but he's able to give it to Castro. The reinforcements do come in for Wheeler. Jaden Ortiz in on the stop with Noah Helmer. Ball spotted at about the 27-yard line. Not a lot of time left in this game. Just over 2 minutes to go. 35-21. Kankakee Valley looking to put the finishing touches on a road victory, and a victory that would be so sweet for them to move to 2-0. And you also feel like you kind of steal a game on the road. The give goes to Castro. He takes it up to about the 34-yard line. And now a timeout is called by Wheeler. At about the 142 mark, they're going to want to talk things over in what has been a game that has been very dominated by the men in white, the Kankakee Valley Cougars, and a second half especially that has been dominated by them. It felt like, Byron and I were saying on this broadcast, which team was really going to pull away, the analogy he used, which team is going to keep on shopping. And the Kankakee Valley Cougars, they've been shopping, and they have been shopping at a high rate in this second half. And it's not just their offensive prowess, it's been the defense as well. 2 interceptions of Klimchek, who played very stellar in that first half for Wheeler. But not quite to the zenith here in the second half that we saw from this Bearcat offense. And, Kankakee Valley just a little bit away from wrapping up this victory. If they're able to hold on, there is still some time left for Wheeler to potentially make a comeback, but it would be very tough. But we have seen stranger things. Flag flies in. So I believe they're going to get a Kankakee Valley offensive lineman who moved early. So the Cougars will set up shop just a bit further back. So they move all the way back to about the 20-yard line. About a minute 42 to play here in this game. Two receivers out wide to the left. Arroyo gives to Castro. Bounces it left. Has some blockers. Has some space. Gets shoved out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Eric Diaz able to make the stop. And with about a minute 31 to play here in this game, looks like Wheeler is shaping up. We will see if they're able to get a stop. And a kneel down by Arroyo. He is in victory formation. It looks like he is wrapping the bow on what has been just an absolute dominant win here, to say the least, for this Kankakee Valley squad. And, something that really goes without saying how strong they have been in the second half. And really, not only has it been the offense, but it has been the defense as well, with the two interceptions, one by Adrian Uchman, who had a touchdown reception, and now the pick as well. And a flag flies in, an unnecessary flag on Matthew Bizzeri, who just shoved the Kankakee player right out of the way. And that's not what you want at this stage in the game, especially, moving down the line as this game appears to be salted away for the Cougars. As the ball will be taken into plus territory in all likelihood because of the penalty. An ill-advised shove there from Bizzeri. You can understand the frustration of a game that you were up 21-14. You're also up 14-7, and then a 21-21 tie going into the second half. And Kankakee Valley has just been the better team here in this second half, and they're going to ride this one out. Arroyo will go into victory formation again in what has just been a big-time win for this Kankakee Valley squad. And you got to feel 1-0. They defeated Rensselaer Central last week, and now they appear to be in victory formation, and they are. And they will win this one by a score of 35-21. So the Kankakee Valley Cougars, who came in with a 1-0 record on the road, they take care of business, and Kirk Kennedy's squad is now 2-0. And you got to figure, they are really going to take this momentum forward and really use this as something for themselves and something that they can do and do at a high rate. And this is why, if you're Kankakee Valley, something that we've seen offensively, they were able to stay in it in that first half, but then defensively, they really came alive in the second half. Marco Castro had 3 touchdowns on the ground. He now has 6 touchdowns in his first 2 games this season. and he has just been an absolute machine for this Kankakee Valley squad. And they are winners here tonight on the road against Wheeler by a score of 35-21. It has just been a phenomenal showing. Now 2-0 are the Cougars as the Wheeler Bearcats fall to 0-2 and pick up their first home loss of the year. So 23-0, the final score last week. And now this week, the final score 35-21.